Good evening and welcome commissioners, applicants, and interested parties to the July 24th, 2025 meeting of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. My name is Chris McIntyre. I am the chair of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. I will be running tonight's meeting as we implement the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 260 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing wetlands protection, and Chapter 263 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing stormwater management. The Conservation Commission meeting is now open and in session is being held on Zoom. If you have any questions for the commission, please use the Q&A feature on Zoom. Please include your name and address to be recognized. When called, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Present this evening on behalf of the Conservation Commission is the town's conservation agent, Charlotte Pechtel, as well as the town administrator, Melinda Wall. I will now take a roll call vote of commissioners. Please respond by repeating your name and saying present. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, present.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, present.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, present.
Chris McIntyre, present. Tonight, we have a quorum of 5 commissioners. Before we begin the hearings, we have some minutes for approval, starting with the May 15th, 2025. Did everyone have a chance to review?
Yes.
Good. All in favor of approving the minutes from May 15th, 2025? Say it.
Oh, do we need a motion?
First, apologies. I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 15th, 2025. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Go ahead, Tom.
Next.
You go.
You need a second as well.
Do I have a second? Sorry. Thank you.
Berrigan, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next, we have the May 21st, 2025 minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 21st, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Berrigan, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And lastly, we have the June 5th, 2025. Anyone have any comments or questions on those minutes? No. I make a motion to approve then the June 5th, 2025 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, those minutes are approved. Okay, on to the hearings. First up tonight, we have stormwater permit 25-09 for renovation of an addition to existing structure for the new police headquarters and fire department substation at 135 King Street for the town of Cohasset.
Good evening, William Murray from Places Associates on behalf of the Cohasset Public Safety Facility.
Good evening.
I have a very short PowerPoint presentation. I would like to start with just a couple of housekeeping items, if I may. We are a municipal entity and we've requested a waiver of fees. We would appreciate it if the commission would consider that. We did notify the abutters and proof of notification was sent to the commission already. And I know you have a full agenda, so I will keep this presentation very quick, and please interrupt me at any point if you have any questions. So Charlotte sent us a rather lengthy comment letter, and we weren't able to respond in time because we had multiple overlapping deadlines on this project. So we will be requesting a continuance so we can address her comments. With me tonight is Paula Claridge, who's from HKT Architects. She's the project architect, and she can answer any questions that you may have regarding the building. I do have building plans because I thought you might be interested in seeing them. I was planning on going through those pretty quickly. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, may I start?
Please do. Thank you.
Okay. And can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Come on, screen. There we go. Come on. You're not doing it. Just a quick rendering of what the proposed building is. In the center, you'll see where it says Cohasset Police with a gray entry area and the rest of the brick building. That is the existing building that will remain but will be renovated. On the north side, which is to the plan right, will be the police station addition. And you'll see 3 garage doors. The first door closest to the police station entrance is what's known as a sally port. And the other doors are for police operations. Behind the garage doors into the hillside will be the prisoner processing and holding area, and other operational facilities will be on the second floor. To the left of the entrance of the police station is a 2-bay garage, which will be the Cohasset Fire Substation. That substation will handle a fire truck and an ambulance and will be staffed by staff, so there will be housing on that left-hand side. Just kind of an isometric view. The lower one is the front of the building. You can see we've got a varying roof line. And then the upper one is the back view. The dark gray is the existing building, and of course you can tell where the proposed buildings are. On the second level, if you look on the upper drawing to the far right, you'll see a lot of doorways. That's all mechanical space that's going to be located above the fire substation. Very quickly, some plan views just so you can get an aspect for it. So here again, we have on the left, which is the apparatus for the fire, the dormitories for the fire officers and operational space. The first floor of the main building will be almost entirely the police department. This will be the holding, prisoner processing area, and the garages. The second floor will be various offices, and again, the second floor of the main building will be police operations. There's virtually nothing on the second floor other than these gray spaces, which are mechanical spaces. And there is a third floor on the existing building, which will be renovated, and that's the data storage center that the town will operate. It's just 2 very small, essentially closet/office spaces. So that's what those are. Here is the site plan. King Street is at the bottom. We're pretty much honoring and keeping the existing pavement that exists to the front of the building, which goes all the way out to the north side. We're putting some islands to give separation. This is all new construction. At the top of the page, a new parking lot to the rear and a new driveway. In order to build this driveway, you can see this gray line. That's a retaining wall, and we'll have retaining walls on the far side of the building as well, because we're building into this very steep slope. So the way the site design works out is the fire apparatus will be able to enter and exit. They exit straight down and onto King Street. The police department, public parking will be in this area to the front. These 2 gray areas will be raised islands where we'll have signs, no entry. So from the garage space on the first level going around to the back will be all police operation and semi-secured space. So that's how that will work. The digging into the hillside, you can see this light gray textured area. All of that is rock stabilized slope. So that slope's going to be at a 1-to-1, essentially a 45-degree angle cut into the hill to stabilize the slope in lieu of retaining walls. And then we have landscaped areas which will be able to accept plowed snow. This is a patio transformer. Again, along this edge, we can put plowed snow on these edges. The way the site works, I don't really want to get into the site design because it's very hard to read at this scale. I don't know if you all can see it. I think I'll just go back to the landscape plan, if that's okay. So we are adding, we're not quite doubling the amount of impervious. I think we're adding 68% more impervious area to the site because the existing building is the center block and all of the pavement to the front. The new is the building on either end and the parking to the rear. We have a lot of problems with this site with soils, and we did present to you that we were doing soil testing across the street, which by the way worked out very well. And we did stay outside the 100-foot buffer zone. I'm a DEP certified soil evaluator, and I did the test holes out here. We did a couple of tests, 3 test holes to the rear and 1 to the front, and the soils were pretty consistent across the site in being a very dense till. I called it a silt loam, and groundwater is anywhere from 3 feet to 4 feet based on modeling, and we actually encountered groundwater in all the holes. So the soil is not a forgiving soil. It's a very bad soil. It's a very good soil to hold up a building as long as you don't dig it up, but to try and recharge, it's not going to work. We attempted a percolation test and we abandoned it because it was just going too slow. So it doesn't perk. We have shallow depths to groundwater, and it's a very dense type of soil. So in the drainage design, what we're proposing to do, and I will attempt to get to the drainage design, what we're doing is we're catching through catch basins on the site. But in this upper level, we're doing a below grade detention basin, which is to say these are going to be chambers that are going to be fully waterproof, wrapped in plastic, and they'll be below ground. So we'll be capturing stormwater, we'll be attenuating it in here and slowly bleeding it out and discharging to the existing drainage manhole that's down on King Street, because the entire site flows down to King Street. Likewise, we'll be capturing the runoff from this area, and we have a trench drain right here, and all of that will be captured, and it will be going to a recharge system, and it will also be going to a stormwater treatment system. So none of the stormwater that leaves the site will be untreated. Everything will be going through hydrodynamic separators, CDS units as we refer to them. That's the manufacturer. So everything will meet the TSS standard. We will not be able to meet the recharge standard simply because the soils just won't let us recharge. We do have a recharge trench in this area in an attempt to recharge, but everywhere we've placed the recharge system, we're just afraid that it's going to cause breakout and cause other problems. The other issue with recharge is the existing leach field is right here. It's very hard to see, but it's right here. And we're honoring the existing leach field. So it passed the Title V inspection. It will be going in front of the Board of Health in August to have them accept the calculation of flows and accept the reuse of that leach field. And the testing that we did across the street was positive, as I said. So we do believe that we have a valid expansion area, and we think that the Board of Health will accept the plan of action to reutilize this existing septic system. Right here is a floor drain holding tank. So the plumbing code requires anywhere we have apparatus inside garage doors, which is to say 2 apparatus inside the fire station, 3 apparatus inside the police station. All those floor drains go to a tight tank, and that's what this is. So this is a below grade, double wall, alarm sensed, monitored fiberglass tight tank. So all the floor drains will drain to that, and that will be pumped on a semi-regular basis with any drippings or anything that comes off any of the vehicles. And now I'm going to zoom ahead. So we did do pre-development drainage calculations. The building is here, and you can see that we took into account the offsite from what was formerly Avalon, all the tributary areas flowing from offsite. We did a site inspection, and we see that most of these buildings pitch to the front and to the road and are picked up by roadway drainage, but the back half of the building pitches to the ground and drains to the site. So this is the pre-development drainage, and we have 2 points of analysis. We have a manhole right here, which collects runoff from an existing set of catch basins along King Street. And there's an existing catch basin over here that has a very small tributary area, and we've done an analysis to both of those points. This is the post-development, so I'm just showing you that we have taken very careful consideration into the design of the site and the stormwater. So for the storm events and the point of analysis, you can see post-development on all events, the flow is less than the pre-development circumstance. And we do note that we cannot use low development techniques, which we do try to use on a lot of our public safety facilities, simply because there's no room. We have bad soils, and we just can't do open drainage systems or rain gardens or anything on this site like that. Again, another rendering of the project, and there's our landscape plan once more. So I tried to go through it fairly quickly. As I had mentioned, Charlotte has given us a very detailed set of questions that we already have answers to. This is a design team, so the answers are not generated just by my office, but by the architect and by the landscape architect and some of the other professionals. But we will, in all likelihood, have a response to the commission next week for your next meeting to go into detailed response about O&M and some of the other items that Charlotte mentioned in her letter. But I'm happy to take any questions, and I know you have a long night, so I tried to keep it quick.
Thank you. Charlotte, care to elaborate on what your primary questions were?
Yeah,
I know.
I can just summarize briefly that as Mr. Murray mentioned, they are requesting a waiver of standard 3 given the lack of suitable soils for recharge. And I had some other clarification questions on the rest of the stormwater standards, mostly like illicit discharge statements and just clarifying that the site's not a land use of higher potential pollutant load site. I had a lot of comments on the long-term maintenance. Since this is a pretty important public safety building, just want to make sure all the maintenance is clear and putting that in the long-term O&M plan. If we can't get a CDS, I think it was a hydrodynamic separator for like Contact, I think is the brand. If we can't get
Right.
that, if there's a similar one that you recommend, I think that was one of my other questions. And then just comments on the I went through each page in the site plan, and most of my comments, as usual, relate to like erosion control, limited work, tree clearing, site construction management, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, there's one point that I want to touch on, if I may.
Please.
So the hydrodynamic separator, we've specified a particular type of what's CDS is the manufacturer. This is a public bid project, so we as the designers get to specify a particular project or 3 projects, materials, sorry, not project, materials. But we can't obligate the contractor under state bid laws to provide CDS units only. What they're allowed to do under public bid is they can submit a different system that they will claim is the same or meets the standards for a CDS unit, and then we have to do due diligence to confirm that it meets the standards, which is to say it can handle the same flows, that it has the same warranty, that it's a durable product, and that it meets the performance specifications. And if they can prove that to us, then we're obligated to allow them to use an alternative system. So unlike a private project where I can tell you you're going to put in a CDS unit and it's going to be this model, et cetera, on the public realm, we can't do that, which is going to be the response, the written response to that comment. Certainly we can let the Conservation Commission or your agent in on the deliberative process of whether we consider it an equal or not, but that's just a wrinkle that we have to deal with.
Got it. Thank you. Tom, do you have any questions?
Yeah, really only one. As I understand it, I wasn't here when this happened, but during this intense rainstorm we had, I was told that quite a lot of water was coming off the hill, and so I'm curious to know whether or not that was considered in your initial conditions when you ran your model. I don't know what level of storm that was. I don't know whether it's a 5-year or a 100-year storm or what, but
Yeah.
but
You guys got almost 6 inches in a very short amount of time.
yeah.
No, we didn't, but yes, we did in the same breath, and I'll explain that comment. The stormwater calculations are based on the standards that are published by the state. But when we design a stormwater system, we always design for failure. So if on the upper parking lot, catch basin fails and it gets clogged, or for some reason a catch basin isn't going to work, it's going to fail downhill and it's going to fail away from the building. So that if a catch basin is clogged and it can't accept flow, it'll fail down the driveway. It'll be picked up then by the secondary set of catch basins if it can handle it. Nothing could handle that storm. I mean, just so we model catch basins, and a catch basin can handle, a standard catch basin can handle about 2.5 cubic feet per second. That's its maximum inlet capacity, and it depends on the type. That storm, you probably had 4 or 5 cubic feet per second hitting catch basins all over the town, which meant you had catastrophic failure across a wide variety. So the site is designed for catastrophic failure to go all the way down to King Street, and it won't flood or pond on your site. It will continue down into King Street. So that's the answer to the question. If you have another storm like that, King Street's going to take the hit, and your site will drain.
Thanks.
And in this case, King Street will drain to the north, downhill, through some pretty good gutters. So we think that this will be, you're not in a flood zone, so this will be an active and usable station throughout a flood if that happens again.
That's my only question.
It was a good one.
Thank you. Kathy, any questions?
Yes, just clarifying, CBS means catch basin system? That
Oh.
means,
CDS is Contact Drainage Systems, CONTECH. That's
then-
the manufacturer of the hydrodynamic separator that we're
And-
specifying.
and then didn't you say CBS also? Did you say that, or did I mishear you?
Well, we refer to
Okay.
catch basins. Our plan, you'll see CTB on the plan. That's the abbreviation for catch basin.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize.
Everybody uses their acronyms, right?
It's all right. Thank you.
Steve?
No, I don't have any questions.
Sanji?
Sorry, no questions.
Okay. My only question is, with the increased size of the building and the front parking lot will exist as to remain with the addition of the drainage system by the entrance, is that drainage system intended to is that designed to take all existing and additional flow from the roof, or is that or did you say the roof drains into the other system and the separate?
No, the roof drains into the on-site drainage system, and that's been accommodated in the drainage calculations.
Okay.
So we do have a decrease on all the storms on the rate of runoff leaving the site. One thing I did forget to mention is we have started the process with Mass DOT. So King Street is Route 3A. It's a state highway. And they have jurisdiction on all connections to their drainage system. So we've made an application to them called the Highway Access Permit. And we are going to make the revisions that we've already made in response to Charlotte's comments are going to be incorporated into the stormwater system that we submit to the state. So we've submitted the site design and things like that. We know for sure they're going to nail us on the stormwater, but we'd rather have as complete a set of stormwaters with all the questions answered when we submit to the state. So that too is all likely going to happen next week. But they will take a period of time to review it, and they review more than simply the drainage. They review the curb cut, the construction, and anything else in there right away.
Okay. Thank you. I don't see any comments from the audience. And if there's no other comments then from the commissioners, then we'll continue so that he can address Charlotte's comments until the next meeting in 2 weeks.
And that'll be August 7th. Is that okay with you guys?
Good for the applicant, yep.
Perfect. Okay.
All right then. I think we're good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up, we have NOI 25-18 for 30 Beach Street, which is a new, so we'll read that in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40. Sorry, moving my screen. Section 40, the Cohasset bylaws and the Cohasset Stormwater bylaw. The Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 at 6:30 for NOI 25-18 to raise the existing dwelling within lands subject to coastal storm flowage and salt marsh buffer zone at 30 Beach Street for Susan and Michael Putziger. The public is invited to offer input by emailing cpectel@cohassetmass.gov. Details for access to the Zoom platform are on the Cohasset Conservation Agenda online at www.cohassetmass.gov. Charlotte, is there someone you can promote for us?
Caroline. Hi, Susan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. For the record, my name is Caroline Reese from Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm representing the homeowners, Susan and Michael Putziger, aka Susan Hobson, and Peter Hobson, the applicant, with a proposal of a notice of intent and variance to raise the existing dwelling at 30 Beach Street. Just for the record, I'm not sure the builder may be on the call. If you see a Rick Fontana, I'm not sure. He may raise his hand.
Oh, sorry, Caroline. What was his name?
Rick Fontana,
Okay.
correct?
Um,
Maybe
okay. I'll look for his name.
okay. May I share the screen, please? Thank you. Okay, as we go, the lot, I think we're familiar with it. We've been before the commission recently, but this is about 11,450 square foot lot, smaller lot. Everyone see the screen okay? Start over with the existing conditions. It's a developed lot with a single family home, a paved driveway, a paved walkway, a rear patio, other hardscape and landscape features, including a stone and mortar wall that surrounds 3 sides of the lot. Resource areas include land subject to coastal storm flowage. The entire lot is located in a VE zone associated with elevation 12. The existing first floor is at elevation 11.4. There is also closest salt marsh that surrounds close to 3/4 of the structure about. Virtually the entire lot lies within the 50-foot buffer to salt marsh. It kind of hugs the property. And beyond that is Salt Pond, Little Harbor. And tonight, the owners, before you, the owners are proposing to raise the existing structure. I'll move over to the right where we have red for zoning, on piles to bring the first floor elevation up to 17.4 to make the structure flood compliant and meet 10th building code requirements. They're not changing the shape of the structure per se, just lifting it up. It's keeping its same Cape style, not adding living space, just raising it on approximately 26 steel piles. Some of the front hardscape will be removed. A front landing and steps will be added to access the elevated structure. And they are proposing a pervious deck off the new first floor. That'll be on concrete piles that is set within the existing impervious patio footprint. The raised structure will be surrounded primarily with vertical slots, providing 40% void spacing to allow flood flow to pass through. Under the garage area, there will be breakaway panels, and they propose to park a car underneath this section. And to complete the work, we estimate 3 trees are proposed for removal. They're right up against the house. We're proposing 6 trees as replacement, scattered around the structure. They have not been selected, but we request that we get prior approval from the agent regarding species and final planting plans. And with that, I think I covered most of it. Pretty straightforward. I can show you a picture from the architectural set. The existing structure is coming up with slots and breakaway panels. And I guess with that, I'll open it to questions.
Thank you. Charlotte, any initial comments or questions from your site visit?
So I wasn't able to make it to this one, but I have been to the site previously, so I'm familiar with what it looks like. As you guys may have seen on the site plans, there is an existing stone wall that's, I think, wrapped around the entire property from both right and left property boundaries and the one in the back. The limit of work is proposed in that red line that Caroline's showing, so they're not using the entire site. And as you can see, pretty much the majority of the site is in the 50-foot buffer. So a variance has been requested for the work. In terms of tree protection, we added that tree protection barrier around the existing tree in the back that they would like to keep. And my comments would mostly just be on, staging, stockpiling, making sure they're not storing things closer to the marsh than what's in the limit of work, even though I know it's a pretty tight site. So I did have some draft comments for that as well. Or conditions, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tom, any questions? Comments?
No, I don't have any questions. I just commend the applicant for raising it above the flood level. I think that's a really a wise thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Kathy, any?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
No, just that, the only question was this existing brick patio in the back look like it's getting smaller? And is it just going away, or is it just going to sit underneath the raised deck?
It's staying the same size. It's gonna sit underneath. What's smaller over it is the proposed pervious deck, because there'll be a
I
deck
see.
off the new first floor.
So it's not changing at all, basically.
It's not changing.
And what will be underneath the house once it's been raised? It will just be gravel
Just
underneath?
natural, it'll be allowed to naturally vegetate. There will be gravel proposed in the existing parking area. There's actually a concrete base now, and they're proposing gravel here. And then the rest will just be allowed to naturally, I guess, vegetate or as it would in a shaded area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sanjay, any questions or comments?
Just one question. What sort of equipment is used to drive the pilings, and is there any impact in the buffer zones, like staging that equipment or anything like that?
Uh, the, I'd have to defer to the builder and construction technique. It is on steel piles, on a steel frame. He realizes, we have to stay within the limit of work and, we'll do as much offsite. It's a very tight site and, he has a limited area to work with and,
And I was just watching I think a similar project on Atlantic, but will the house be lifted whole and moved off of this? And if so, will it be staged in the buffer zone?
my understanding is, and if anyone wants to chime in, it'll be lifted in place, just elevated, raised, work done underneath, and then set back on the piles.
Okay, because I noticed the other project, it looked like they slid the house back off
Yeah,
the original site and put the pilings in and assume they're gonna slide it back. So this is the existing dwelling is just gonna go up. Is that right?
that's my understanding, correct?
Or it's gonna go up and then you're gonna put pilings underneath it and it'll come back down. Is that
And
correct?
set it, correct.
Okay.
Anything
Thank
else,
you, guys.
Sanjay?
A tight site, they're a little limited.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was just trying to get a sense of how much of this driving and piling will impact the buffer zones temporarily.
I know. In this case, I think it's not a recognized barrier, but that stone and mortar wall is a solid barrier nevertheless. That's why we still propose the silt sock and silt fence. I couldn't take quite credit for the wall, but I think that wall will help contain the work and the impact of the work as well.
So not sure if they need to drive heavy equipment into the 50, or you're not sure what kind of equipment is used, or?
I'm not exactly sure how they'll raise it, on lifts. There will be the entire lot's in the 50, so
Right.
all the equipment, but I don't know how else they would do this. I think, they raise it on jacks and lifts and there'll be some mechanical equipment to do that for sure and to build it, but hopefully the long-term results are worthwhile, but it'll be contained within that wall for sure, and the limit of work, obviously.
Carolyn and Mr. Chair, just had a clarification, if it might be helpful. Peter Hobson of 112 Howell Road said not actually piles, but steel columns set on
Yeah.
concrete footing. Carolyn can show show plan if needed.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. I saw that.
Thank you.
Okay. Charlotte, did your drafted conditions have anything to do with the equipment and the? Okay.
Mhm.
You want to pull those up? I don't have any further questions.
Excuse me? May I ask one
Yeah.
question?
Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry. Did I skip
It's
you?
okay. I didn't have it before, but I just thought of something. Caroline, on the site plan in the bottom right corner, there's a little box with the heading impervious change within the salt marsh
Oh,
buffer.
yes. I should have mentioned that. There's actually a decrease of 45 square feet. That's just the change in hardscaping around the structure. Of course, we have to still account for the roof of the structure. So the impervious from the dwelling doesn't change even though it's raised. But the removal of the front walkway and replacement with just a pad gave us a decrease of 45 square feet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Sure.
Charlotte, if you would, you
Sure.
want to show your draft?
So yeah, kind of what we kind of briefly discussed, no staging or stockpiling materials, fill, or equipment is allowed beyond the limit of work as shown on the site plans. So just making sure they don't use that back area for extra space because it's closer to the marsh. Tree protections and limit of work shall be inspected by the conservation agent prior to any site work, including demolitions, just making sure those barriers and everything are up first before the house starts getting worked on. One thing I just kind of wanted to note about the trees being preserved along the left border of the property and then the rear of the property that gets its own barrier. Sometimes with excavation, you don't know how big those root mass systems are. So just kind of anticipating if any additional tree removal should any trees be found, should any trees be found needing to be removed, because of construction, the applicant shall work with the agent to locate suitable locations for tree replacement on the property at a ratio of 2:1 to the maximum extent possible. Just given the size of the site, 2:1 is our standard replacement for trees in the 50-foot buffer. All trees shall be native and come from conservation's approved planting list. And the reason why I highlighted it is just because the applicant's already putting back 6 trees. So if we do find out we have to take out another tree due to excavation or anything, I just don't know if there's any room on the site, but we can definitely try. So I'll leave it to the commission if they want to keep the language as is or revise it.
Yeah, good point, actually. Ms. Reese, do you know what type of trees are, 3 trees are going to be removed, what the species that are being taken out?
I don't know, 2 are evergreens, like conifer tree, those kind of tall, thin evergreens. I'm not sure this one in the rear. Oh, that's the one we're protecting. I think they're all conifers. I don't know if Peter or could speak to that. I'm pretty sure they're all evergreens.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring up pictures.
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
given your symbology, Caroline, they look like evergreens and then just
Yeah,
based on
they are.
aerial
I'm
imagery.
sorry. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking at, they are evergreen. I'm just not sure which type.
One of them is definitely a cedar. I just can't remember which one based on my memory of the older site photos I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at the site photos. Any idea what size they are or what caliper tree they are? That's usually something I'd like to.
They are, I do have the calipers. I think they were between 8 and 10 inches, as I recall. Bear with me. I'll try to find photos, and it's weird. Let me just slide over. I know I have one on my screen if I can. That's not it. I am sorry. It may just take me a second. I don't know if to kind of pull them up in the file.
That's all right. If they're, that sounds like a, pretty typical small coastal tree. I think I'm fine with 2:1 and working with Charlotte to replace in kind at the 2:1 ratio, unless any other commissioners have any concerns or questions in that regard.
This is this is the tree on the right side of the property. So you guys can see.
Oh, let
I
me
think
stop sharing. You got it.
Oh, that's all right, Caroline. I
Ah,
shared over you.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes, that's the one. They're all similar.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Most of my pictures are of the marsh, but yeah, the one on the right-hand side is, I believe that's an eastern red cedar. Sorry, I took most of the pictures of the marsh because this was a dock project 2 years ago. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
What's
So, yeah,
the
there's
age
that
of the wall structure on the 3 sides? Do you have any idea when that was built? It's kind of unique.
I know. I don't personally. I don't know if the owners do. I guess old. It looks pretty old.
So they're raising the house despite that. Is that because it floods despite the wall?
Correct. I believe so, or for protection. Yeah. I
Hmm.
think water can come up.
Okay. I don't have any further comments or questions, but any other commissioners? Anyone from the audience? No. Okay. Well, then with that, I will make a motion to approve NOI 25-18 at 30 Beach Street. Do I have a second?
Is it with these conditions, Chris, with an order
Yes,
conditions?
yes, with the conditions, just these three conditions as you read. Do I have a second?
Berrigan, second.
Great, thank you. Then with that, I'll take a roll call vote of commissioners. Tom Bell,
John Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnoll, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0-0, and we'll also need a variance for work within the 50. I make a motion to grant a variance for work at 30 Beach Street within the 50-foot buffer zone. Do I have a second?
Berrigan,
Second.
second. Sorry.
Great, thank you. With the second, I will take a roll call vote. Tom Bell,
John Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnoll, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote also passes 5-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Carolyn.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Good night.
All right. Next up, we have NOI 25-17 for 460 King Street, which is new. In accordance with Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. for NOI 25-17 to remove an existing cesspool and replace with a septic system within the bordering vegetated wetlands 100-foot buffer zone at 460 King Street for Lynn Sheridan. The public is invited to offer input by emailing cpectel@cohassetmass.gov. Details for accessing the Zoom platform are available at www.cohassetmass.gov.
Hey, Xander. Hey, Lynn.
Hi. Hi. So Xander Orem, Maryland Engineers and Land Surveyors. I think it looks like you already promoted Lynn. She might have one other person to promote. Lynn, do you know, is she in the call? Or whoever it is?
Sure. Hi, Lynn. If you can hear us, you are muted. Is there anybody else you'd like us to promote for this project?
Lorraine Tarpey, our Realtor, but I'm not sure if she's on. She was going to be.
Okay. Yeah, I see her on there. I can promote her.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so I am representing Lynn Sheridan for her proposed septic system upgrade at 460 King Street. So the lot currently contains a single-family home. There's bordering vegetated wetlands in the rear. About almost the whole site is within 100 feet of these bordering vegetated wetlands. Almost half the house is located within 50 feet. And there's also a cesspool, which services the house, and that is in close proximity to the bordering vegetated wetlands. So what the applicant is proposing to do is to remove that cesspool and replace it with a full new septic system. So some context for this job: this was previously proposed back in 2009. This exact same project was proposed and it was approved by Conservation and Board of Health back then, but then it was never constructed. So fast forward today, we're just proposing the same exact project because Lynn is trying to close on the home. And this is part of the agreement. So this is it's a difficult site to put a septic system in, just due to all the constraints like the wetlands, just the placement of the dwelling, and then just overall like not great soils. And then there's some easements and utility services over here as well. So we do have variances requested with Board of Health, and then also with your board for work within the 50-foot buffer. However, we are improving the 50-foot buffer to the resource area because we're removing this cesspool, and we're removing the leaching facility outside the 50-foot buffer in this eastern portion of the property. There will need to be some trees removed. About 13 trees will need to come down, unfortunately, but this is really the best and almost like the only spot that this can go, just due to all the constraints. And keeping it out of the 50-foot buffer is obviously ideal. So that's the way that this project went, and that's why it was approved back in 2009, over 15 years ago. And that's about it. If there's any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, what do you have for this one off the bat?
So yeah, as you guys know, they've requested a variance. I did go to this site, and looked at it with Lynn, and, as you guys can see, it's a pretty tight site. The soils up in the front, did not perk, I believe. Xander, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, up in here, they did not
Yep.
perk.
Okay, so I guess my main question or thought, and I guess commissioners can weigh in here, because obviously you're the one looking at this and voting on it. I don't know if it's a trade-off to either to save the trees in the 100 and move the leaching field further into the 50, since you can't avoid the 50 entirely, or if you guys are okay with them wedging it in this far corner as best they can to try and keep the work out of the 50. So I guess it's more of a trade-off discussion of, do we want it to reposition it or move it to try and save some of the trees, or is it okay staying in that corner as far away from the wetland as possible? And I'd had similar comments as well on limit of work and tree protection barriers if we need them. So it looks like they've already kind of put the erosion control barrier around most of the trees that I would want to protect, but maybe inching it to that other smaller one where that existing riprap is. But other than that, those were kind of my comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, tightening
This
that a
one?
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
$13 trees.
Yes, 13.
Is there opportunity for replacement elsewhere?
Probably, at least, I mean, some of them I know you have usually a 1-to-1 policy, 2-to-1 in the 50, if I'm correct. It would just be a little, I mean, it might be hard. That would be 15 trees. That might be a bit much, but I haven't had the chance to discuss that with Lynn, so I guess I'd like to see what she would think, like how many trees she'd be willing to do.
So do I comment at this time?
Sure.
Yes.
If it is, I don't know, it's for the commission to decide. If it could come a little more forward, so not 13 trees are coming down, that would be my preference. Yeah, is heavily wooded as it is. I don't really know where we would put those additional trees. There's a grove on the side of the house, there's backwoods, and then there's the woods along Schofield Road. So I'm in a very heavily wooded area, which is lovely. I'm not quite sure where we would put in that many trees, to be honest. I just don't know where they would go.
Okay.
Basically, the open area is the current backyard, and that is it. Everything else is woods.
Okay. Let's go through the commissioners. Tom, any questions or comments?
Yes, I think it's really essential that we keep this drain field as far away from the wetlands as possible. And I think that this is really the only site that's going to work. And if we lose some trees here, I think that that's better than trying to relocate it closer to the wetland.
Mhm.
Okay. Kathy, any questions?
I was thinking the exact same thing that Tom just said, that I'd like to see the leaching field out of as far away as possible, from the 50. And I agree that it's better to lose some trees than to maybe have that area contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Steve?
I can't add anything to that.
Okay.
If there's no place to do any remediation of the vegetation, then again, you've got to allow the leaching field there. So it's the best place for it. Seems to be the only place for it, and it is outside of the 50-foot barrier. So a buffer rather.
I should share that some of the trees are large trees, but about half of them are small trees. They're varying sizes in that wooded area where the leaching field would go.
Xander, do you have any details on the caliper sizes of those trees or?
Yeah. So I think the largest one we have is a 22-inch.
Mhm.
And then it goes, we have a few that are 16, 12. I think that says 14, 16, 16, 10, 20, another 20 here. So 22 is the max, and it goes all the way down to like the 8-inch over down
Mhm.
here.
Sanjay, any questions? Comments?
Yeah, once the leaching field's in place, what will be put on top? Like, will it be lawn or grass? Like, could we go, like, I know we can't put trees there, but can we get some native species in there?
Maybe some sort of seeding could be done. We just would be careful about anything with a root system that could potentially penetrate the field. So it might be hard. Lynn, were you planning on just putting lawn there, or did you have something in mind?
No, my understanding was we should be careful with the root system, so it was
Yeah,
lawn.
that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is we want to be careful with the root systems. So I think we were just planning to do lawn, yes.
Well, there are native species that would have shallow root systems. Things like right on our list. So this could be, you could use, I think, the conservation seed mix here successfully without compromising the cover here.
Okay, so maybe just a seed mix above the system is what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I for one would like to see some effort to plant trees elsewhere on site, whether it be within the 100. And I'm trying to pull up the near map, but just the way the plan is, I'm having trouble orienting myself. But it looks like around the shed, and there's open space for planting. Is that accurate?
So behind the shed and to the right of it is already well treed. There were a couple of trees that came down because they were no longer healthy, but
Mhm.
it's all wooded from behind the shed, that whole area that's labeled wooded. It's behind the shed, to the right of the shed, all the way over to our abutters, and the abutters on the other side as well. There's no open land there.
Charlotte, can you pull up the project map as you have it in near map, please? And just this is zoomed in on the plan as it is zoomed in. I can't quite orient myself, but what I'm looking at on near map from April 10th, 2025 looks like there's opportunity for some trees, and I understand this plan was approved. When did you say it was approved?
2009.
Right. So I think our kind of tree replacement approach has changed somewhat. And as this is a now for reapproval, we would like to be as consistent as we can with tree replacement. So Cheryl, can you so there's two squares here, and the one kind of plan more southeast is the current proposed, right? So that's where the system they would like to put it, right?
Yeah, sorry. So I was trying to draw this very, yeah, so this is the approximate location for the septic tanks, and this would be the approximate location for the leaching field. So I'm sorry, this is not obviously, of course, accurate in in comparison to Xander's plan. I was just trying to
Sure.
kind of draw it roughly. But yeah, and looking at the site, I mean, as you can see, there are already a lot of trees here. So if this chunk's coming out, maybe shifting them in this corner over here, maybe that might be possible. I'm trying to see if there's any space with canopy. There's a couple space right here. As long as it's not impacting any easements or utilities, they could possibly go in there. This area is still wooded, so I don't know how many trees we can squeeze in here. Maybe a little bit further out, but that you'd have to be mindful of the tanks here. Maybe back here potentially if we can find some space.
Charlotte, I can't see anything of what you're talking about.
Oh, is this not, can you guys not see my
I,
new map?
all I
link?
see is the black and white plan here.
Oh,
I see the I see
Yeah, I
Charlotte's
see
chart.
Yeah, I can see it too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Not sure.
I'm still looking at Xander's plan. That's
Oh.
where,
Xander, I think multiple people are sharing. Would you be able to stop
Okay.
sharing
Yeah, I can
yours?
stop.
Okay,
there we
does that
go.
not work?
That fixed it.
Okay,
Mm.
yeah, sorry, sometimes multiple people sharing. I don't know how.
Yeah, no worries.
I think I'm happy to work with Lynn to try and squeeze in trees as best we can. I don't think we're really going to get, obviously it's 13 and then one in the 50s. That would be 15 total. I don't think we can get 15, but we can at least try to get a couple in.
Mhm.
Yep, I'm happy to work with you on that.
Yeah, again, it's just that our strategy, kind of our approach, and maybe not our official policy, but we have changed a bit since 2009 in terms of our you know, attitude towards tree replacement. So I would be interested in exploring all opportunities to replace trees. And I think if the rest of the commission's okay with the applicant working with Charlotte on that, it'd be okay as well. Any other comments for commissioners? Questions? Nothing from the audience, Charlotte. Any what do you have for draft?
I don't see anybody with their hand raised. No comments, but I can share the conditions I just typed or modified for you guys. So, the first one was limited work shall be inspected by the agent prior to any site work. Xander, if you're okay with tweaking the plan to just include that extra 6-inch tree, do you want me to put it as
Yeah,
a
for
condition,
sure.
or do you want to just send that to me, or?
Whatever works better for you. I mean, I can get that to first thing tomorrow,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's fine.
Does the commission want a condition on the tightening the erosion control just to protect any other, to that 6-inch tree, I think? Or do you guys just want me to work with Xander on that? Shaking your head, Chris. Sounds like you're good.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
And then native seed mix shall be selected to install in the leaching field area once the system is installed. The specifications of the mix shall be reviewed by the agent prior to installation. And I can send, Lynn, I can send you some examples. And then for all trees proposed to be removed and for any additional trees found during excavation that need to be removed, the applicant shall work with the agent to locate suitable locations for tree replacement on the property at a ratio of 1 to 1 in the 100 and 2 to 1 in the 50 for each tree removed to the maximum extent possible. All trees shall be native and come from the commission's approved planting list. And then same condition as the previous project, no staging or stockpiling of materials, fill, or equipment is allowed beyond the limit of work as shown in the plans. Just so that we don't see people going around the barriers and putting stuff near the shed or something like that.
Good. Anyone care to make a motion then? If there are no further questions. No? Okay. Then I will make a motion to approve NOI 25-17 for 460 King Street. Do I have a second?
Oh, sorry, Chris, is it with these conditions as
Yes.
shown or read?
Yes, with the conditions as shown.
Second,
Okay. Then with the motion in a second, I will take a roll call vote. Tom Bell,
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. Do we need a variance here, Charlotte?
Yes, for the small amount of work in the 50 and then the obviously temporary disturbance during construction.
Right. Okay. I make a motion to for a variance within the 50 at 460 King Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, with the motion of second, then I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell,
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Is
Next up.
anybody else having trouble with loading projects on their map?
It's slow.
Yes.
I don't know if there's
Slow,
some
yeah.
sort of network issue. Because I'm having
Um,
trouble loading mine too.
Okay.
Maybe there's too many of us on it.
Usually that's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm having slow loading speed as well. But let's proceed. So next we have a combined project, two NOIs of two stormwater permits, which I'll read into the record separately, but we will hear them together. Charlotte, is that correct?
Mhm. Yes, please. Sorry, it'll be a little repetitive.
NOI 25-19 and stormwater project 25-10 for 40 Pond Street in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw. The Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. for NOI 25-19 and stormwater permit 25-10 to build a single family home driveway stormwater mitigation system and landscaping within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 40 Pond Street for Weather Vane Builders. The public is invited to offer input by emailing cpectel@cohassetmass.gov. Details for access to the Zoom platform are on the Conservation Commission agenda online at www.cohassetmass.gov. And in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. for NOI 25-20 and Stormwater Permit 25-11 to build a single-family home driveway stormwater mitigation system and landscaping within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 46 Pond Street for Weather Vane Builders. The public is invited to offer input by emailing cpectel@cohassetmass.gov. Details for access to the Zoom platform are on the Cohasset Conservation agenda online at www.cohassetmass.gov.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Good. Do I need to promote anybody else who might be on the call?
Yeah, we have Josh Green with us from
perfect.
Homestead, and Curtis Webb and Heather Quintal from Weather Vane Builders as well.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, can you also introduce yourself for the record?
Yeah, no, Taylor Crisano with Homestead Consulting Engineers. Here on behalf of the applicant to present the NOI and stormwater permit list. I will share my screen. So as I stated, here with us tonight is Josh Green from Homestead, as well as Curtis Webb and Heather Quintal from Weather Vane Builders. We're here for the properties located at 40 and 46 Pond Street. We're here seeking an NOI and stormwater permit for the associated properties. We have Pond Street located to the northeast of the property. The property is surrounded by residential homes. We have a bordering vegetated wetland located on the northeast side of the property, which was delineated by Brad Holmes of ECR back in February. The topography of the site slopes from the west side to the east side towards the wetlands. As you can see, there's quite a grade change as you move across the property. In addition, there are a few existing retaining walls located on the property today. There's one along Pond Street, as well as one interior to the site that is located within the 100-foot and 50-foot buffer. And then a small stone retaining wall as well located here. The applicant, if I scroll down, is proposing 2 single-family homes. One located on 40 Pond Street, one located on 46. The applicant is proposing a shared common drive to service both of the homes. It's proposed at 16 feet wide, which services 40 Pond Street with the driveway located here and 46 with the driveway located here. We did submit a common driveway application to the planning board. We'll be in front of them in August. And we did just receive peer review comments back from them. So we will begin to address those as well as comments received from you all tonight. The proposed drainage for the new proposed driveway is proposed to be serviced by 2 rain gardens, one located between the 2 homes and one located in the front northwest portion of the site. This configuration allows us to kind of better the steepness of the site by installing some retaining walls here to kind of flatten out and improve some of the steepness and runoff as you go down the site. And the houses also are proposed to kind of coincide with the topography by having walkouts. To treat the roofs of the homes, we have 2 proposed underground chamber systems. Those would be just for the roofs as well as some over here. We have proposed utilities connecting out to Pond Street, which will service sewer, water, and electrical. There is an existing swale, a natural swale on site that is up in this northern portion of the property. By proposing the common driveway, we're able to not touch that and keep that as is, which is one of the main reasons why we did that, as well as mitigating or minimizing some of the impact within the 50-foot buffer. The homes do have associated patios and decks as shown on the backs of the homes. We have a small retaining wall over here to retain the slope coming down this way, as well as some small landscape retaining walls along the proposed homes. I ran through that kind of fast, but noted in green is the buffers, the 100-foot buffer being the farthest one out here, and the 50-foot being this one internal. We do have a proposed limit of work with proposed silt sack and silt fence along the southern portion of the proposed limit of work, which is where the project slopes to along the buffer. We did propose a silt fence all around the project just to delineate between anything going towards the neighbors, even though the neighbors are higher. And I think with that, we did meet with Charlotte about a month ago and got some initial feedback from her, which we will plan on addressing, as well as comments received from you guys tonight. And we did receive a letter from the abutters, which we will plan to address too. But with that, I would ask if you guys have any questions.
Thank you. What's the tree removal schedule? Could you?
So we do still need to locate a good majority of the trees. We wanted to get some initial feedback from you so we could kind of gauge our scope within the limit of work of what trees would need to be located, because a majority of the back of this property is not being proposed to be touched. So we're not doing work back there. So we would like to just focus in this area. So we will locate the trees with this next submittal.
Mm-hmm. Some of the property is not on the plan. You said there's no plan to develop that.
This would all remain wooded, untouched. The wetland runs across the back portion of 46, so that's no disturb anyways. But the limit of work ends right about here. So roughly 50% of the site remains untouched.
Okay. So there's no tree schedule at this point, or?
Not at this current point. We do have a couple of trees located, but we'll get you a more detailed tree schedule.
Okay. Charlotte, what's the gist of the abutters' feedback? Can you speak to that?
Sure,
Or
I'm not
any-
sure I
any of
can
the-
do 100% good job, but I know the letter did touch on a review of wetlands, wildlife habitat, stormwater impacts. It seems like they are kind of suggesting that we do look at the potential impacts of all proposed structures, driveway, the sewage, the infrastructure on the wetlands, water quality, and wildlife habitat. Recommendations on preserving the area's ecological integrity, conducting a formal wetlands assessment of the properties at 40 and 46 Pond. And then they have provided some additional information related to humidity and impacts on severe storms. So I think overall they're definitely concerned about the stewardship and long-term impacts on the site and the project's impact on water quality, flood control, wildlife habitat. So given these, well thought out comments, I had recommended to Taylor in a pre-application meeting and also in my comments for the commission to possibly consider two things. One would be a site walk. I have not yet visited this site, and I think it would be kind of helpful to look at this visually since it is new development. Look and see where that flagged limit of work is in relative location to the 50 and 100-foot buffer, where the driveway and houses are going to go, and just seeing the site that's out there. And if the commission does want a formal investigation of the wetlands, I'll defer to you guys on that. And then also the major concern with wildlife habitat. I think that's definitely, those were comments that I had as well in terms of analyzing the impact that the project may or may not have on the 100-foot buffer, and ultimately the wetlands with any tree removals, construction of structures, et cetera, how that will impact wildlife habitat.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, looking at the site, I was surprised that it wasn't flagged. It seems to be in a belt of certified vernal pools, and based on what the wetlands kind of, at least the Mass Mapper wetlands map indicated, that I was surprised it wasn't at least flagged as a potential vernal pool. I'd be interested, certainly, myself in a site visit, but let's go through the commissioners. But before we do, I think, for a typical site walk on something, an undeveloped property like this, we'd like to see, the limit of work, which in this case seems to run right along the 50 in most cases, but the 50-foot, the 100-foot, some of the driveway markers, the building, and some of those other kind of trees for removal. We'd like to see that certainly for something like this.
Sure. So it was, do you like the center line of the driveway, like center line at corners of building and limit of work? Does that work?
Yeah, yes, those at least, and I think trees within the buffer zones as well. At least, I don't know, Charlotte, is there a typical caliper size that we look for, or just kind of
For wetlands, it's a little tough. We don't
just
have
kind of
a minimum size, but I would definitely say anything that would be considered a tree rather than a sapling. So if you guys are able to stake the limit of work and at least show, you don't have to obviously, go nuts, but I think if we had a relative location of where the 100-foot, the 50-foot buffers are in location to the limit of work, and then putting in the building corners, driveway center line, and maybe one or two stakes in for where the infiltration systems are going to go.
Sure.
We'll go through the commissioners. Tom, initial comments.
Could we zoom in on the residents at 46?
46 this one.
And so it seems to me that this could be rotated and largely, almost entirely removed from the 100-foot buffer. Not quite, but a redesign would be, I'd like to see an alternative design here.
Okay. So this,
where this is minimized. Let me ask you about the setback there for the driveway. What is the setback along that southern property boundary for that driveway?
for the driveway setback to,
The required setback from the southern edge of where your cursor is down to the property line.
I don't know a specific driveway setback, but this beige line is the building setback. And I believe that is 20 feet. So the driveway is located probably 30 feet property line. If I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah. So well, I don't know that the driveway setback, I don't know what the setbacks are. First of all, I thought that the 30-foot setback was with reference to a public road. Somebody correct me here if I'm wrong.
30-foot setback from a property line.
I thought it was a 30-foot setback from, that the 30-foot setback was for a public or a private road. But I'm not aware that that's the setback for a property line.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can definitely look into that.
Okay. So to the extent that you are working with your setbacks here, obviously you can't violate those, but I'd like to see some alternatives here for pulling much of this, or as much as possible, out of the 100-foot buffer. This is an undeveloped lot. We're not working with the redevelopment here. And so you're going to be held to a higher standard than you would be had there been an existing disturbance here. This is undisturbed woodlands. So alternatives are appropriate here.
Sure, we can definitely provide an alternative.
And that may even require a smaller house. So consider that as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, and I'd say, and so to move back to lot 40, I think I'd say the same thing about it, is that it's a significant encroachment on the 100-foot buffer, and I'd like to see that be shifted as much as possible out of that buffer. Now, if for the infiltration chambers and the like, that's something that is more palatable, I think, to us for being in the 100-foot buffer. But a hard structure like a residence is a different matter altogether.
Okay, we can take that into consideration.
Okay, so I do see a building setback line there.
Yep.
And there's plenty of room on lot 40 to move over. It would depend on the setback for the driveway. How close can that be? And I think that's a much smaller number, maybe 10 feet, something like that. So where the driveway shifted to right up against its setback, that leaves more room for the house to be moved closer to that building setback line.
For this one?
For 40, that's correct.
So 40 is pretty tight. As you can see, this is the building setback line right here. So
oh, well, wait a minute. You've got another building setback line.
So these are two separate properties. So they each have their own setback line. They just share a common drive to.
I see.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
eliminate. Okay. I wasn't paying attention to the
no, it's
property
confusing.
boundary.
Yeah, so the property boundary, the lots themselves are configured a little different. So the 40 is located a majority in the wetland.
When was this lot subdivided into two lots?
It was subdivided back in 2015.
I see.
So that's why the applicant is trying to propose the common drive, because that on lot 40, we're able to eliminate a lot of the disturbance in order to get a driveway within the property of.
So 40. Center up on that lot 40 residence again, please.
Do you want me to try and highlight the property boundary for you?
Oh, I can see it.
Okay, you can see it now.
Clearly. So I'm looking at the setback line and see what it's doing. Yeah, boy, it's really constrained.
It is on this site. So that's one of the main reasons where the house was proposed where it was.
Okay, well, you've got a little bit of room there. You can move it somewhat out of the buffer.
Yeah,
I'd say that it should be moved the maximum amount possible out of the buffer, consistent with your building setback.
Yeah, On the side, it is a
And
little
similarly,
bit
the
step
driveway,
back.
it crosses the 100-foot buffer on, I guess it's on 46.
Yeah,
So-
I do think we could look at a different configuration to try and push that driveway a little bit out of the buffer.
Yeah, okay, good. How wide did you say the driveway was? 16
We're
feet?
proposing, yep, correct.
Is that a minimum standard?
I believe the minimum is
12
12
feet.
for a common driveway. We
Okay.
went just a little bit larger, so
So maybe you should consider a 12-foot driveway then. That'll help you.
yeah, we can definitely do that.
So that also might enable you to move your, is that a rain garden there?
Yes, this is the proposed range.
Yeah, so that gives you a chance to move that farther away from the 50-foot buffer.
Does the
Um,
one thing that obviously doesn't impact the buffer, but as you push the road closer to the neighbors on this side, it will make need for retaining walls a little bit greater, just because the grades go up
Yeah,
towards the neighbors. So I mean, not a huge deal, but just something worth noting.
yeah. Well, our concern isn't that. Our
Right,
concern
right.
is simply moving you as far from the wetland as possible here,
Nope, understood.
okay? But also being consistent with making your stormwater curves as well.
Mhm.
So you proposed a stone wall. Is that a retaining wall because you're gonna change the grade?
This one,
All of your retaining walls, the
all of our
perimeter
retaining
ones-
walls.
The perimeter one's the one I'm focused on, the one that's hugging the 50-foot buffer north.
This
Yes,
one.
that one.
So that's an
Yeah.
existing retaining wall that we're proposing to just keep in place because it does extend into the 50 and 25 foot.
Is it a retaining
Um,
wall or an old farm stone wall?
I think it's an old,
Definitely, it's more of the old farm style kind of wall that's been there for a very long time.
So basically, it's just where a field was cleared and it's a pile of rocks that a linear.
No, it's definitely at one point it was well constructed. It's got a face to it and everything. It's clear
Okay.
cut. Definitely during a site walk, you'd be able to clearly see it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all in favor of us going out and having a look at this. It's a complicated site. It's we're really talking about serious encroachments into the 100-foot buffer. So I think I'd like to go out there and have a look so I understand the constraints a little better.
You said the wetlands delineation was done in February? Is that right? Sorry, is that correct?
oh, is my thing not working? Yes, you're correct.
Mm-hmm. Tom, anything else?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Charlotte whether this is that wetland was a potential vernal pool based on the state.
Yeah, not based on the state. There is a vernal pool, like southeast of it on another property, but
Yeah.
this wetland was not flagged by the state as a potential vernal pool.
Mhm. Okay,
You never know, though.
right.
As I mentioned, if you look at the certified vernal pools, there's like almost like a belt of them, some of them nearby, but obviously February would be a little bit too early to have that indication. Let's go to Kathy. Any questions or comments?
Well, you just spoke about the vernal pools, which is what I was concerned about. And I was wondering if we could see a delineation of the ones that have been certified, or even the ones that they think are vernal pools and aren't certified. And also, the 25 abutters that spoke about that and their concern for the wildlife and the vernal pools.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll definitely have to
Yeah.
look into.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on the plans.
I don't know if they would show up. They're
Are we?
pull them up on the mass map. right,
Chris, the
but they're
closest
not-
one's 700 feet away.
Yeah.
That's either potential or certified. From the back of the property, not even the proposed work.
Mhm.
Thank you. I think it's more just the topography of the site and the wetlands kind of it suspect, I guess.
Mr. Chair, would you maybe, I think this was ECR who delineated it. Would you maybe want to see any sort of assessment or secondary, opinion or letter from them, maybe looking at the wetland and seeing if it does have the potential to be a vernal pool?
Yeah, I certainly would. I mean,
Okay.
that's with an undeveloped lot like this, especially with the abutters' comments and concerns. I think it's relevant.
And I was just gonna chime in because it was my question, like, do we know the methodology for the wetland delineation? Like, and was there, since in the new development, can we confirm based on the types of soils that are present? Which I think we normally don't get to see.
Oh, sorry, Sanjay, was that to me or is that to the applicant's team?
Yeah, so to the applicant's team.
And so we do have a report from ECR. As it relates to the soil, I think we can ask ECR and they could probably provide that information to the best of their knowledge from when they went out there.
I think that'd be helpful.
Sure. And sorry, you're wondering about the soils?
Really, the methodology for the wetland delineation and
Sure.
if they evaluated the soils as part of that, and the soil type, to determine if it reflects the wetland.
In the wetland memo that was submitted, he does state that he analyzed the vegetation and hydrology within 12 inches of the surface and soil conditions within 20 inches of the surface. As part of that, so the wetlands contained hydric soils, saturated soils, and dominant wetland indicator plants. I think it's being shared now.
Thank you.
Steve?
I think that Tom asked many of the questions I would have about building in the buffer zones. It looks like there's a fair amount of area that's still within the building setback lines. And I believe that driveways certainly can be closer to the property lines than are shown here. So there certainly seems to be some opportunity for reorienting some of this stuff so it's not in the 100-foot buffer. I mean, we've probably got most of the housing within the 100-foot buffer. It just seems to be a bit much for my taste anyway.
Agreed. Thank you. Anything else? I agree. I think Tom did a good summary. And I would echo that for myself, I would like to see as much alternative consideration to removing structure and driveway from buffer zones, exploring the setbacks. I don't know if there is setback from side lot lines for driveway for resident zone B, but
There is.
just making sure that there is, we're looking at that closely and getting out of the zone, out of the buffer zones as much as we can. and if, and a site walk is definitely something that we're gonna want to do. So, give you, we can work with Charlotte, and you can work with Charlotte to kind of flag what we'd be looking for. Give you the time that you need for that, and we'll set something up.
Sure. And Mr. Chair, can I ask a clarification question for the site visit?
Yeah.
So we've done, more commonly than not, we've just done a commission site visit with the applicant's team. The commission is not allowed to deliberate on site. They can only observe and ask questions. The other type of site visit, which would just take a little bit longer to set up, if the applicant or the commission were interested in a site visit that would be advertised where the commissioners could deliberate on site, but it would be open to the public and advertised like an agenda. So we don't do that as often. We've only done that once since I've been here. So I don't know if the applicant has a preference, if they would prefer the usual site visit where the commissioners do not deliberate and they just kind of observe what the site is, or if they would be more open to a visit that would be advertised, but that would make it public. So there is a trade-off there. So it's up to the applicant and the commission, but I just wanted to clarify that before I set it up.
Yeah. I think given the number of concerned abutters in this particular case, we should probably keep it to the online setting.
Online deliberation only? Okay. So
That's my preference. I don't know if anyone disagrees or if anyone has comment on that. But there seems to be a lot of concerned folks in the neighborhood, and
Yeah.
we don't want to create a situation where
yeah, sometimes it's a safety issue too. Like if it's an undisturbed site, it sometimes owners may not be comfortable with that. But yeah, if the commission is okay with just our standard site visit setup, that means no deliberation will be on the site, but then all the input would be brought back to a following meeting that would be public, like this one.
I think that makes more sense for this.
Okay.
Here.
I have another question. What zoning district is this in?
Believe it is Residence B.
RB. So it looks like your side setback's 20 feet.
Correct.
Your side and rear is 20 feet, not 30.
Oh, no. So I was saying the driveway itself today is located 30 feet away. I misunderstood you. The setback itself is 20, yes.
Yeah, that's the building setback, but it's not the driveway setback.
No, I don't think there is a driveway setback, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, there is. I think
I
it's 5
think
feet.
it's 5 feet, but it might depend on the
5 feet.
zone.
It is 5 feet.
In
Oh, it
every
is?
zone?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would confirm, yeah, but thank you. All that information would be, let's have that all clear, and that way we can all be on the same page and maximizing our proximity to the neighbors and not the wetlands. So, looks like there's a comment, Charlotte, in the Q&A.
Yeah, so I think some of the neighbors did have questions. So I don't know if the commission has any additional input, or if we want to move to public comments.
Anyone, commissioners? I don't have anything else at this time.
No, neither do I.
Okay. And I actually do have someone raising her hand, so it might just be easier to allow her to speak, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Mary Jo.
Hi, thank you very much for acknowledging our concerns in the petition. My name is Mary Jo Larson. I live on 12 Virginia Lane, and our property pitches into the ravine. So I see that most of there's a recognition that there are many slopes. There's a downward slope throughout this area. So we really see this as a ravine. And I'm grateful to understand that 50% of the 2 lots is actually unbuildable. It's interesting for me to think that we're still going to try to ambitiously put 2 houses, 2 garages, and like a 200-foot long common driveway into an area where really there was just one house before, and that house has been remodeled, but that isn't my comment. I'd like to draw your attention to the image that shows it's the retaining wall that is behind lot 46, the house 46. That one right there, that thick retaining wall. I don't know how long that is, but just to give you an insight from the perspective of a neighbor, that area behind the retaining wall is steep, sometimes 45 degrees steep. So we're all up on a hill. So my main point right now is to focus on that retaining wall. That 4-foot wall will pose a significant risk to our property at 12 Virginia Lane and possibly to our neighbor's position downstream because our home is situated on a sloping hillside. So when you come visit, you should also take a look at Virginia Lane, which really isn't, I see a great deal of care in trying to contain, the water runoff just within the lot lines. But I'd like to ask you to kind of draw back your lens and look at the wider context because our home is really situated on a sloping hillside during severe storms, such as the 4 to 6 inches of heavy rain that just closed sections of I-93 in July and had stranded cars. Stormwater runs from the Virginia Lane and pours down our long driveway into our backyard and right down into that ravine. And right now, it's a ravine. And so summer, it's probably much more flooded than it is in February. And so my major concern for ourselves and for our neighbors is when the water comes rushing down, that 4-foot wall, however long it is, will block the natural flow of rainwater from our driveway or driveways into the ravine and watershed, and especially during severe storms. In effect, the wall could create a river of water that will erode and destabilize the backs of our properties. So what I'm trying to suggest to you is there are many risks that we see to this particular, it's a very complex design and ambitious, perhaps over-ambitious, to try to put so many structures into a small space. But I wanted to please draw your attention to the fact that when you think of could you move the driveway closer, or does that mean you're moving the retaining wall closer to, you'll just have to take a look at the configuration of the property. And so thank you for allowing me to raise that issue during this meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll certainly look at that. Because the topography on the plan south is not very clear in this plan, which we will look at.
Thank you.
Is that better? So
Yes, thank you.
yeah. And I could just chime in just a little bit to maybe alleviate some concerns, but it is sloping down, so there would be no effect on upward abutters at the top of this hill as everything is sloping down. So that's what these stormwater systems are designed to handle, that stormwater flow coming down the hill.
And where will it go? But where will it go? Well, it'll come rushing down. And by the way, there's erosion from that water going down all the time. So if it creates a river, it's going to start going downhill for sure. It's going to go rushing downhill and it will erode the area. There's a steep incline behind our home. It's a major concern for us. I plant trees on our property, etc., to protect the property from that degradation that just comes with heavy rain. So it is a risk to us, for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean it's not. I just was trying to alleviate some of your concerns, hopefully. But just to note too, on your letter, there wasn't any contact information. I don't know if you want to provide that to Charlotte because the applicant is happy to meet on site too, to discuss some of these concerns with you. And maybe we can provide some additional plantings. to
So
eliminate some
we,
of those?
you know, generally, I'm super comfortable with the Conservation Commission venue. I think that makes the
Okay.
most sense because of the expertise that's available, understanding of regulations, et cetera. So you know, we love our neighborhood, we'll love our neighbors, but there are real concerns about the ambition of this project.
Understood.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions or comments before we continue? I don't have anything else at this time, so I think I don't know if it makes sense to have a specific date in mind at this time to continue, but we should certainly schedule a site visit. I think maybe we do that and then continue. Is that okay with the applicant, or I don't know how much time we need to flag what we need that we've requested, and Charlotte can specify what we'd be looking for.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Taylor how much, I can send you a list, of the information that we'd be looking for. And I think, Chris and, Commissioner, Tom, I think they both wanted inside that limit of work, just seeing which trees are also coming out as well. So I guess given that list, how much, which I can send you, do you think you need more than a few days? Because if that's the case, if you guys need a little bit longer to set that up, I would recommend, you know, we can always say if you want to continue to August 7th, and we can always move it to the 21st if we have to, or if you're just comfortable with just playing it safe and continuing to the 21st, just given the time to set up the site, have the visit, revise your plans. And just keep in mind, you have to submit documents about a week before the meeting, just so commissioners have time to review.
Yeah, if Curtis wants to second that, but I think the 21st would make sense, so then we can also have some feedback from the planning board as well. If Curtis
Okay.
can confirm he
Okay.
would like to do.
Yep, Curtis Webb here with I'm the builder applicant. That works fine with us. I would think meeting as soon as we can would make the most
Okay.
sense. Gives us
Okay.
enough time to address everyone's concerns. And I just want to say one thank you to the commission for your comments, and you guys have been super helpful. But we want to appease your concerns here as well as the neighbors. They're going to be the ones living here long term, so we want to do our best to sort of take everyone's thoughts into consideration here. So that being said, yeah, if we can meet as soon as possible, that would be great, but we're fine with continuing to the 21st.
Okay. Yeah, so we can, we'll do that. And Taylor, I can send you the list, and maybe if you are able to just notify me roughly when you think that would get set up, I can reach out to the commissioners for their availability and get a site visit set up.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll get you
And
that.
sorry, my
tomorrow.
last question as well, I'm sorry. We did mention wetlands, so would we like the wetland scientist to be at the site visit?
I think that would be beneficial for everyone if that's
Okay.
possible.
Okay. So I can reach out to him too, and or Taylor, you're welcome to coordinate as well.
Yeah, whatever's easier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Well, next up we have NOI 25-12 for 94 North Main Street, continued from June 5th, 2025 for construction of fieldstone retaining wall to stabilize existing coastal bank within land subject to coastal zone flowage along northern property boundary at 94 North Main Street.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Jeff Assett here with Morse Engineering. And if the applicant Bill Henry is on the call, if you could promote him as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I got him. He's just unmuted, or he's muted.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a second hearing for an NOI for a fieldstone retaining wall to stabilize the toe of a bank at 94 North Main Street. and I'll go ahead and share the plan. All right, so I'm sorry, 94 North Main Street. So North Main Street is at the southerly side of the property. They have a paved driveway that comes to a detached garage with a walkway to the single-family home. In the backyard, there's a pool area, a small lawn, and then a vegetated slope down to the salt marsh and beyond to Little Harbor. This property has 590 feet of frontage on Little Harbor. It's abutted on the east by another developed single-family home. And then that frontage of 590 feet extends all the way to the cemetery. But the area where they've been battling erosion is approximately 110 feet long, located right here, immediately down gradient from their pool area and home. And they've made a number of attempts to stabilize that bank with vegetation, a geogrid. They tried to do kind of a makeshift 2x12 wall, which you can see in the photos here. But it's in the southwest corner of Little Harbor, so it gets all of the wind, the most wave action, and all the debris washing up there anytime you have a nor'easter. So what the homeowners would like to do is to construct a 3-foot tall fieldstone wall at the toe of the slope, because it's really only the toe of the slope where there's constant erosion. And where that will cut into the slope slightly, so that'll be a net even cut fill. And all the work is up gradient of the salt marsh. So it's adjacent to the salt marsh, but the work will not go into there. On the site plan, we have 4 photos of the area showing kind of the erosion, where just constantly when you have flood moons and storms, the water comes up to that bank, creating the erosion. So the resource areas are obviously coastal bank. This will be a temporary disturbance, but being done so to permanently stabilize the bank. The area is land subject to coastal storm flowage. There'll be no loss of flood storage capacity because it's an even cut fill. And again, the work is upgrading into the salt marsh. So since our last meeting, we had a site visit. We submitted a revised plan dated, I think it's July 21st. And we made 3 changes. Primarily, we're adding about a 3.5-foot wide planted area at the top of the wall. And that is being specified to be planted with 75 gallon size native grasses. So that'll vegetate that area, create a little bit of a nice native buffer zone. And then we also added slight bends at either end of the wall just to tie into the existing grade. And then lastly, we made the wall 6 inches taller. And that was just simply because the base flood elevation here is elevation 10, the FEMA floodplain, and we were at 9.5. So we figured bring it up to that base flood elevation. So with that, that's the summary of revisions. I'll turn it back to you. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, unfortunately, I got called in the morning of the site walk, so I wasn't able to attend. But my main concern was that, hardscaping that face would, might solve the problem with the flooding on that property, but may increase the erosion to the natural, barriers on either end of it. I don't know if anyone that attended that site walk would care to speak to that concern. I think Tom, Steve, Charlotte, you were all there.
Yeah, I was there and in fact encouraged them to tie back into the topography so that there wasn't a gap there so the water couldn't get behind that wall. I think this is not ideal, but the consequences of eroding that bank could be significant. It probably has the potential to do more damage than raising the existing wall by, did you say a foot, Jeff? There's already a bit of a wall there. Is that right?
No, there's really not a wall. He had built a wooden wall in front with like 2x12 staked in.
Right.
Here's a photo of the bottom of the bank. You can see that wall. That was a wooden wall, and it's just a slope. No, there's no existing wall.
Other than the planks that he's put there too.
Right. Yeah. But we weren't seeing erosion on either end, and you know, if they began to see some erosion right at the end of the wall, they could place some riprap, I suppose. But I don't think that's going to be an issue, to be honest. I think the way it ties into that wooded area on either side, it'll work fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be concerned about the bank itself. I mean, if the wall is overtopped and, you know, you have a bad storm or something, you could lose a lot of bank there. It's just not something we'd want to see dumped into Little Harbor.
Okay. Steve, any comments?
No, I mean, I think that I always thought the plan was actually a pretty good one. I'm not sure I understood Tom's comment right there about the wall being overtopped. I mean, I assumed that if the wall weren't there, then a bad storm would erode that bank anyway. So this might help prevent it, as opposed to in most cases.
Kathy, questions, comments?
Well, I was also just thinking about what Tom said. But I was also, and then I was thinking, well, the wall would help prevent, at least it should for a while, the bank from eroding. So I'm for the wall.
Sanji?
Unless I'm totally wrong. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It doesn't feel like a compelling case for the wall, but I don't know what alternative there is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't make it to the site, unfortunately, but I look at the adjacent, you know, properties and there's trees, and I just thought that, you know, trees would hold the bank as well as a wall, and the Little Harbor, most of the coast is not armored, it's not, you know, hardscaped for that, and I don't want to set a precedent for that. I'd like to see more trees, and I don't want people to lose their view, but you know, I think the natural shoreline is preferable whenever possible. And you know, shrubs and grasses are not going to hold the slope. Trees maybe, but that's just me. And again, I didn't see it, so can't make a hard case for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Cheryl,
the problem with the shrubs is they've tried that and they've been washed away. And, you know, trees over time will stabilize that bank, but, you know, when you first plant them, how big is a root ball? And you don't want to plant them too tight because, you know, you have to do the recommended spacing and plan ahead for the future. But also, like, some of the neighbors, the cemetery is completely surrounded by a taller wall. And I pointed out that this property has quite a bit of frontage, and it's only this one portion. They're not looking to fortify the entire property, just this one area immediately in front of the house. And they've tried all the other solutions. He's been battling this for years.
Yeah.
Jeff, I apologize. I'm forgetting your answer at the site visit, but we've seen other coastal bank projects, at least with revetment, stone riprap walls on Beach Street. So can you explain why that wasn't a feasible design here instead of a stone retaining wall, like not doing doing sort of like fortified riprap with the geotextile fabric, of why that wasn't possible here?
So, I mean, a fortified riprap would be taking angular stone and placing it to make more of a slope as opposed to a vertical wall.
Mm-hmm.
And typically that's crushed stone, angular stone. It's not I think the field stone look is a more natural, more aesthetically pleasing look than more like a construction site angular stone.
Remind me, it's just going to be like a piled fieldstone wall, not like mortared in, or what's the construction?
It's a fieldstone wall with concrete mortar, more so in the back of the stones to hold them together, to keep them together.
No, it's not very natural, is it?
I believe the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, is to not show much of the concrete, more to see it as a natural stone wall, but to hold the stones together behind the walls where you won't see the concrete, behind the stones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions or comments personally. Anyone else from the commission? Anyone from the audience or Charlotte? Any other comments?
I don't see any comments in the audience, but did draft some conditions if the commission is ready for a motion or if they still want to discuss.
I don't have anything. If anyone else has anything, speak up.
So I move to issue an order of conditions for NOI 2512, 5094 North Main Street for construction of this, of the wall at the existing coastal bank. With the conditions that we should have asked Charlotte whether you have a list of conditions. I'm sure you do, right?
Sorry, Tom. Yeah, you might have to reread your motion.
That's all right.
Yeah. So since we were out at the site, I didn't see too many of the salt marsh flags still there. So if possible, that would be my recommendation, that the salt marsh be reflagged as necessary prior to construction of the wall, just to ensure there's no encroachment into the marsh, and per the site plans that there's at least the 3.5-foot distance or greater between the wall and the marsh. Any site work on the wall shall be limited to the landward limit to the maximum extent practicable. No traffic on the marsh is allowed, except as needed during low tide conditions only. Any damage to the marsh identified from construction shall be assessed by the agent to determine if any restoration is required. All site work for the retaining wall and plantings on the coastal bank shall be done by hand. No heavy machinery is allowed in any wetland resource area for permitted work under this order. No materials or equipment are allowed to be staged or stored in the marsh or within the coastal bank for any period. And then the limit of work shall be inspected along with erosion controls by the agent prior to any site work.
That sounds good to me. Okay, so I move to issue an order of conditions for NOI 2512 with the previously stated conditions. Our agent that are entered into the meeting notice. This is for 94 North Main Street. Construct a fieldstone retaining wall to stabilize the existing coastal bank.
Thank you, Tom. Does Tom have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, then with the motion and a second, I will take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, aye.
And Chris McIntyre abstain. We'll need a motion for work within the resource area.
I move to issue a variance to work within the resource area at 94 North Main Street.
Second.
Tom Evans. All right, with a motion and a second, then I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, aye.
And Chris McIntyre abstain. And that vote passes 4-0-1, as does the original motion. Pass 4-0-1.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for hearings. What do we have for tonight we have continued hearings for NOI 25-13 for 94 Black Horse Lane. And we have a series of certificates of compliance. First up, we have stormwater permit 25-0547 24 Jerusalem Road. Anyone for that? Charlotte.
I was actually going to say, Mr. Chair, can I go a little bit out of order because we do have the owners for 102 Howe Road on the call, and I don't see anybody else in the audience for the other two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for NOI 21-2, 102 Howe Road, Janowski and Curran.
Awesome. Okay. So this is the, there were a couple revisions to this plan. I don't know how many of you guys saw the original in 2021 and then amended in 2022, but this was a new development for a single family home. And so as you guys can see, there was an existing gravel road here that was used and is used for the driveway. And it's mostly gravel except at the beginning and at this bottom of the slope here up to the house. So this is the approved plan, and I'll just go through some of the notes on the site. I had walked the site with the landscape architect in the fall. There were some stabilization concerns at the bottom of this slope here below the rain garden. This site had a lot of heavy blasting. So there was a lot of like large boulders that were all built up and pushed into a certain area. And that did leave the site not stable in that area. So I did work with the landscape architect to kind of isolate that and put in a native seed mix in that area to restore the area in front of the 50-foot buffer. And then this slope when I looked at it in the fall, sorry, just trying to zoom in here. So this area near the rain garden and the slope below the driveway, it was eroding. I mean, we had at that time there were some storms, but a lot of the mulch from these landscaped areas was, you know, kind of spilling off. So I had recommended adding more plantings to this area. So since then they did add more shrubs and native shrubs and grasses to the slope. And it does look really good right now. It should fill in more with the next few growing seasons. The rain garden is fully stabilized now. So with that being said, we did identify 2 trees that did come out on this side of the driveway that were proposed to remain. So I did instruct the landscape architect to work with the owner to locate an area of where to put some of the trees at a 2-to-1 ratio. This area in the 50-foot buffer is pretty tight with ledge and limited soils. So we are trying to target this area in the back. As you can see, the 100-foot buffer is a little limited in this area. So we had minimal space to work with, but trying to put these trees in this 100-foot buffer area as best as possible because there were already trees planted in the 50 in this area where the gravel driveway turnaround is. And then out in the beginning of the driveway, this is all woods. And then you're outside of the 100 here. So we tried to get these trees in the 100 as best we could. So with that being said, I'll just go through some of the special conditions for this project. Sorry, this one is a little long, but the long-term O&M plan will be recorded prior to the issuance of a COC. So if you guys are okay with working with the applicant with doing that, I can take care of that. There were 3 special conditions with this permit, in addition to our standard template, that the driveway material is to be maintained as gravel and in its current width of 10 feet is to not be exceeded. So per the approved plan, only this portion up and then only this beginning portion were proposed to be paved. So you can see the gravel line here all the way to the bottom of this slope. This is still all gravel and it's still 10 feet wide. I would recommend this as an ongoing condition. So this is condition 53 if the commission were to issue a COC. A layer of gravel, condition 54 was a layer of gravel shall be placed over existing driveway prior to construction related activities. This was not done, but I will say that the applicant hired a general contractor who put in a very large stabilized construction entrance with double erosion controls on the downward limit of the wetland. And I had been to this site several times to inspect those barriers. The general contractor at the time was really good with replacing those. So we did not witness during construction any erosion into the wetlands. And then whenever this barrier got flat, I had told them to replace it, put new ones up there. So even though they didn't put gravel, new gravel all the way down the existing driveway, they did do a really good job of maintaining this entrance during construction. They did have to keep the porta potty a few times out of the 50-foot buffer, but other than that, I think in terms of the entrance overall, it was kept clean by the contractor and the subcontractors for the most part. And then condition 55, no further removal vegetation is approved outside of the limit of work. As I just mentioned, there were 2 trees that were removed, and so I can get to that in a little bit with the trees that were planted to replace those. And then I will just note, I'm not sure how much previous commissioners remember, National Grid did have to come in and fix the existing overhead utility poles and lines. So they mostly prune trees, but there were some trees in this 100-foot buffer area behind the rain garden that did have to get cut. So I did walk the site with the National Grid arborist. We flagged those just to make sure we knew which trees were coming out under National Grid's exempt activity procedures. So just to ensure that we knew. None of these trees that you guys see on the plan were taken out. They were mostly smaller trees. So these green ones that you see on the plan here are still here. So it was like smaller ones in this 100-foot buffer area that just had to get trimmed and cut. And then some of the trees at the end of the property outside the 100-foot buffer where the line continues to go back here were also taken out. But like I said, National Grid has different procedures than private property owners. So I think in terms of those three conditions, that they were followed for substantial compliance. In terms of deviations, I'll just go through those really quickly. This first portion of the paved driveway is actually shorter than approved. Jeff, I don't have an exact measurement, but it looked like it was about 6 feet, 7 feet plus or minus, and it looks like it's about 20 here on the approved plan. This is just outside the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, they basically just only went up to the cobble apron.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So like this, it's like paved here, and then there's a stone cobble area, and then it's all gravel from here. So, yeah. And then there, the western portion of the property below the driveway outside the limit of work, as I mentioned, was disturbed from the amount of blasting and then tree removal from National Grid. So like I said, I did work with the landscape architect to restore this area, add more plantings on the slope, put in a native seed mix behind here. This is all just outside the 50. And then I mentioned the 2 trees came out. I'll show you guys where we tried to put those to the best of the space limitations that we had. And then 2 of the existing trees, so this 12-inch tree here and this 24-inch tree here. This 24-inch tree was mostly dead before construction, and it is now completely dead. And then this 12-inch tree was alive when I first saw the site, but it did die. So I'm not sure if it was just already on its way out or if it was just construction. There were a lot of vehicles that were moving in and out of here. So I'm not sure what happened to this tree. The applicant has not taken the trees down. Just wanted to note that 2 trees unfortunately did not survive, but this one was mostly dead before construction. The gravel turnaround parking area in this 50-foot buffer, and I can go to the as-built. It's wider than it was originally shown, but the tree line has remained the same. It's just more gravel was put in this area. The fencing for the pool was extended a little bit past the property line. And I did speak with Ed, and he said that he talked to the neighbors. The neighbors are okay with the fence in this area. I can show you guys pictures if needed. But it's only in the woods, so no additional vegetation was taken out. It's just a metal chain link fence that's installed at the bottom of a little slope here. So the owner is, I haven't spoken to this abutter directly, but they did tell the owner that they are okay with this fencing remaining as is. So there's just a slight deviation there in the 100-foot buffer. And then the pea stone patio and fire pit that you guys see all the way in the back here, only a very small portion crosses the 100-foot buffer. It wasn't on the plan, but it was, it's pea stone, so it's pervious. And the one thing that I tried to get, and Jeff, I tried asking the contractor, I wasn't able to get photos of the infiltration system. So I don't know if anyone from your team has them, but it's on your as-built here. So you're certifying it was installed. I didn't see the inspection ports on the site, but I tried asking the contractors and I don't have photos of it. I didn't know if anyone on your team does.
No, we don't have any photos, and I spoke to the contractor about it going in.
Okay.
And I guess it was on an old phone that we lost everything.
Yeah, I'm really shocked I didn't see this because I've been to the site so many times. I'm shocked that I wasn't called out for the infiltration system, but it did change hands at some point. So maybe that's why. And then, as I mentioned, more native shrubs went in along this landscape slope than the original design, just given those concerns with erosion. A native grass mix was installed at the toe of the slope below the rain garden and the slope area here. I can show you guys pictures that is now fully stabilized. In terms of some planting deviations, there were a couple. So these 3 trees here, there was a Norway spruce that was on the plan and 3 eastern red cedar. The 3 eastern red cedars were substituted with arborvitae, which I think it's an eastern white cedar is their common name. So there's 3 arborvitae here instead of eastern red cedar. Other than that, there's an additional red maple. I can go to my markup of the planting plan. This was one of the mitigation trees. We put in an additional red maple here in the 100-foot buffer at the top of the driveway here. All these trees that you see in green were planted per plan. So the trees that were originally proposed in the 100-foot buffer, with the exception of this magnolia here, which was kind of moved over here, were all planted in the 100-foot buffer. As you guys can see, we tried to stick the mitigation trees in the back here as best we could, but given this 100-foot buffer line, which pretty much goes up to the property line, there's very limited space to put the trees. So the red maple, another sweet gum, and 2 American hollies were pretty much planted right on the 100-foot buffer line, plus or minus. Unfortunately, the red maple and the sweet gum didn't make it, but we did try to push those as close to the 100-foot buffer as possible. And then everything at the front of the driveway was planted outside the 100. Everything around here was planted. They just didn't put the shed in back here. And so there were other service berries as well that were planted in this area back here behind the pool. And I think that's it for my list. So with that being said, I can turn it over to the commission for comments.
So in summary, how many additional trees died or are dying and weren't planted or died since being planted? Do you have like just a summary of that?
So in terms of all the trees that you see on the original plan, they're all still here. And then the ones that died, this 24-inch one was like mostly dead before construction, and it's now completely dead. There's no foliage on it. And then this 12-inch tree was alive as far as I can remember, but it is now dead. So this is the one, I think that really the one that died during construction. I think this one was already on its way out, but the rest of these green trees in here that are existing are around.
All right.
I don't know how healthy they are, but they have foliage.
And how many trees were planted that didn't make it? You said?
The trees that were planted all made it. Those are all fine. It's just, unfortunately, we had very limited space to work with in the 100-foot buffer. So the trees that were planted back here in the property, they're just outside the 100-foot buffer. One of the red maples made it in the 100-foot buffer, but we
So
just
you
had.
meant they didn't make it into the buffer. They were
Mhm.
planted, but
Yeah, but they're all alive and they were healthy.
okay. And they replaced the red cedars with arborvitaes, 3 of them.
Yes. There's 3 eastern red cedar that were supposed to go here, but they were just switched out with arborvitae. These 3 right here.
Okay. And the other deviation was the fire pit, which is just on the edge of the 100-foot.
Yes, a pervious, it's cobble, I think. Peastone fire pit right here.
Okay. Okay. That was a lot. I think I think, yeah, that tree that died, you think it was right in the way of the construction vehicles? We should probably replace that, right?
It's a tough call, but yeah, this was obviously where there was, staging and vehicles, and it's hard to tell, but I'm not sure what
Was
health
it
it was in.
protected? Was the drip line protected? What was the
We didn't
situation?
have a barrier called out on the plan, so I don't think so.
Is it
No,
inside?
yeah.
It's
It's
inside
just
the
outside
100?
the 50.
Right. Well, that I would say replace that then. If it wasn't protected, it should have been. It's in the buffer zone. Yeah. That'd be my call. Is that's the only one that potentially was killed by the
Yeah, like I
construction?
said, this one was mostly dead before construction. It had barely any foliage to begin with. They took out this bigger dead one and this smaller dead one. This one at the time was marked as alive, but it was already not doing so hot when I was at the site in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
This
one
one
for
was
one.
protected with the erosion barrier, though. There was an erosion barrier that was wrapped around here, and it was marked to stay. So, but like I said, it was mostly dead before construction.
Okay. Well, I'd say let's replace that 12-inch that wasn't protected. I don't have any other comments. And Tom?
No, I don't have any comments.
Kathy,
No comments.
Steve?
No, I have a question about the thing that shows there's a way that runs beside the house. Is that is that being allowed to grow over?
Sorry, where, Steve?
As the driveway comes up and where the
Yep.
turnaround is, there's a way. It's actually an old carriage path that runs all the way through the
Oh,
woods.
this way thing? Yeah.
I mean, that was the original driveway was a big carriage path that ran all the way over to Lambert's Lane.
Mhm.
I was wondering if that's just being left to grow over at this point.
Yes.
Since they run their fence around it.
Yes, I can pull up photos, but this whole area is stabilized with a native seed mix. And then this slope just above below the driveway, but above this way area is it's planted with native shrubs, grasses, and then there's trees at the top. And then the rain garden has one tree, several shrubs and grasses.
And the path itself is just being allowed to overgrow.
Yes, yeah,
it's
this
also
is a
within the-
no
within
mow.
the-
Yep, this is a no mow native seed mix. This area here that was stabilized.
That's it. There's no question. I wasn't involved in this. This is before my time, so.
Okay. Did I already call on Kathy? Kathy, did you have anything?
No comment, thank you.
Okay, Sanji?
Okay.
Um,
Oh, sorry, the ongoing conditions I'd recommend, this one actually has quite a few. So we have our standard 40 and 41. So 40 is no chemicals in the buffer zone, including fertilizers. Number 41 is that the plantings have to survive 3 full growing seasons and or be replaced if they die. Number 53, the special condition of the driveway is to be maintained as gravel in its current width and is to not be exceeded past 10 feet wide. And then standard condition 55 for the, I'm sorry, not 55, where's my, I can get the number, but it's the pool BMPs. I think it had a different number under this template, but it's 4 ongoing conditions this time, just because this one had some additional special conditions that relate to long-term.
okay. Good. I'm good with those. Jeff, you good with replacing the tree? 1 for 1?
Well, I believe is the property owner on the call?
Yes.
I think I'd let him speak to that.
Yes. Hello, I'm here. This is Ed Janowski. And Sarah Curran.
Hi, Mr. Janowski. So the tree that died during construction we would request for a 1 for 1 replacement of any trees lost within the 100 foot, which seems to be the case here. If you're good with that, we could proceed with the approving this COC.
Sure. We'll be happy to plant the tree.
Great. Okay. Then with that, and with the conditions as outlined by Charlotte, I'm guessing you're good with those.
Yeah, sorry, it would be 40, 41, 53, and 56.
Do you want to pull them up so we can see them?
Oh yeah, sorry. I just closed out of that, sorry. So these 40 and 41 is pretty much issued with every COC. So the no chemicals or pesticides in the buffer zones, the plantings have to survive 3 full growing seasons or be replaced. So we give you that general maintenance instruction upon the issuance of a COC to just maintain those plantings. And then 53 in terms of maintaining the gravel driveway where it's gravel to be 10 feet wide, not exceeding that. And then 56, this is a handout I can give you guys, but it's basically the BMPs of how to maintain your pool and what to do with pool drainage and things like that. And this is also a standard condition if there's a pool involved in a project.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Any other commissioners have any last comments? No. Okay. Then I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for NOI 21-02 with the conditions as listed by Charlotte and the replacement of the 12-inch tree with a minimum 3-inch caliper tree to be species to be worked out between the applicant and the agent. Replacement within the next year for 102 Powell Road. Do I have a second?
Bergen, second.
Thank you. With the motion and a second, then I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Fernando, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0-0. Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry, Chris, does that also include the COC for the stormwater permit? And I can do contingent upon the long-term maintenance plan being recorded?
Yes. Sorry, that was below. Stormwater permit 21-01.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion for that, or are we good?
I think we've done it either way, but if you want to do a separate one, since these conditions were related specifically to the wetlands one.
Sure. I make a motion to approve the COC certificate of compliance for stormwater permit 21-01. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second, I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0-0. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed.
Okay, thank you all.
Sarah.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the normal order then. We have a couple more COCs. Stormwater permit 23-05 for 724 Jerusalem Road.
Awesome.
Anyone have to promote here?
No, I think it's just, I don't see anybody else, right, Jeff? I don't think anyone else was expected to call in. Oh, you're muted.
Someone left in the audience.
There is one person in the audience. I don't, it's not the applicant. Okay, well, if they have questions, they can raise their hand. So 724 Jerusalem, this is just a stormwater permit, no wetlands for the site. So this was the approved plan, raise and rebuild of an existing single family home and a detached garage. So this one has the contractor has recorded the long-term operation and maintenance plan, so that's actually all set. This is a common deviation, but I'll just say for these 3 stormwater subsurface systems, I just couldn't see the inspection ports, and I will say this happens pretty much at every site. So I just talked to the owners and said, for long-term maintenance purposes, you really want to uncover those, and you can put a green grate over them so it's, you know, it blends in with the lawn. And it's just necessary for inspection checks. So I don't see it as an issue for the project. It's just something that I note every time, especially if someone's putting in sod. And then I talked to Jeff about this the other day, but this may have been done after the as-built, but there is it looks like it's about 4 feet. I don't know how deep it is in the ground, but it probably 18 inches. It's a stone retaining wall here. And it doesn't look like it serves any purpose for stormwater. So Jeff, it was pretty much about this long with this length of woods. So it's probably about 3 feet wide. I don't know how long this is, but do you anticipate any issues with
Charlotte,
stormwater?
can you pause for a second?
Oh, sorry.
Can you go back? Did you say that the installation of those systems is supposed to have an inspection port and they do not because they're covered over the sod?
Yeah, so like what happens when these systems are buried is there's a PVC pipe that like sticks up for the inspection port and it's cut down to grade. And then in most cases, there's usually a grate that goes over it. But unfortunately, more often than not, when the landscaping is done, those inspection ports are usually covered. So it is difficult to find them. I do have photos of these infiltration systems, so we know they're in there. It's just that the inspection ports are covered. It's not that there's like dirt that's going to get filled in them because the inspection ports have a twisty cap and they put the grate over that. So it's not like it's an open pipe that just is like that. Unless, you know, there's overflow, which is different. These, I don't think there were any overflow outlets here. These were all just had the inspection ports at the top. So it's not like that putting the sod over them will like fill the system with dirt. It's just the inspection ports are something that I need to really see on the site just to ensure that the systems are in there unless I've seen the systems go in. And in this case, I think Jeff had sent me photos of those systems, and I think the contractor had showed me photos too. I was out last year with surgery, but I did see photos of these systems going in. So it's more of like, I think, a maintenance concern rather than a compliance concern, because the systems were installed per plan for the most part. It's just it's the inspection ports that you have to untwist and check in the pipe to look at those systems periodically for maintenance. And so it's up to the applicants and the owners to do that. It's just going to be more difficult to find them when obviously there's grass over them. So at some point they're going to have to locate them to check the systems.
Doesn't bode well for them being inspected for
Yeah.
required maintenance, right? That's part of the.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, our
part of
long-term
the-
maintenance plan basically says you have to check these systems, and there's a log that's usually affiliated with that. And so when that's recorded with the property, that's definitely the responsibility of the owner.
Yeah, they're typically just below grade. So people usually don't want a 4-inch PVC cap in their yard. So you can go out, you could poke around with a probe or a shovel and find them if you had to. I mean, typically you're doing that if you notice the system is backing up and you sense there's an issue with it. You know, it's a troubleshooting method to try to figure out is it a broken pipe or what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to slowly educate homeowners and landscapers to not bury those, because I see that pretty much at every site.
There's got it.
Yeah.
No, there's 4 inches above grade, and there's buried. There's a yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess going back to the wall, Jeff, you didn't have any with this length that I'm kind of drawing with my mouse here. You don't have any concerns. I can show you pictures of the wall. I'm sorry I didn't text them to you, but it was something that I noticed last minute, and it wasn't on the as-built.
Yeah, we spoke about this, and I didn't see it myself when I went out and did my inspections. It's a big property; it's 5 acres, and looks like that's tucked behind that ledge outcrop. But the way you described it as a wall that leveled off that area, and that's just going to make the land flatter and promote more infiltration, so the water has a chance to infiltrate rather than just run off down a steep slope. So it would have no negative impact on the stormwater calculations.
Okay. Yeah, I
Kind
can
of
pull
away
up.
from the project area. It seems like it's almost an independent
Okay.
project.
Yeah, I can pull up a picture just so everyone can see what I'm talking about. So this is the where I was just kind of drawing on my as-built, and I can go back to that. But this is the wall that what I'm talking about here. Sorry, I have more photos of it. But yeah, it's like it didn't, and there's woods in between. There's no weeping holes or anything, but it's this is the grade level, and as you can see, it's much further down from where the house is. And this is the area beyond the wall. The stormwater systems are down. One of them is down here, but the neighbors are also a ways away. So it's not like it was built, you know, right on top of someone's property or something. But yeah, it just didn't make it on the as-built. Okay. And then the driveway was about 200 square feet larger and is a little bit steeper because the driveway was constructed at 1.2 feet higher, but there is additional, any additional runoff is mitigated through the crushed stone trench that was built per plan. So I can go back to the as-built and the approved plan to show what I'm talking about.
Sure, that stone trench is actually twice as long as
Oh, it is?
proposed.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
'Cause
Is
we
it
had it
longer
only
than
at-
approved?
Yeah, we had it only proposed at the top of the driveway where they're expanding it. And then when they built it, they went all the way down to the right of way.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Where's my as-built? There it is. Oh, okay. So you did make it longer here.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, 200 square foot larger driveway, but there is a longer infiltration trench. Final grading for the garage dry well, which is this one right here, is just a little bit higher. It was elevation 66, which approved design was elevation 65. So I just wanted to make sure there were no impacts to the rate of infiltration, and Jeff confirmed that that was not the case. The rear patio paver here, or paver patios, just a little bit smaller than the approved design, and there is a pervious deck over it, but since it's pervious, there was no increase in impervious here. Eastern walkways just a little bit reconfigured here. Roof drains are only, the roof drains are connected to the western section of the house, to the western infiltration system. I think that's a little bit different of a reconfiguration, but Jeff did clarify that the entire roof area is still directed into the dry wells. So it's not like there's any roof area that's not connected to the dry wells. And then there aren't any downspouts in the northeast corner here, because the house is sloped in the other direction. So all the runoff is still going into the dry well systems per plan. It's just a slight reconfiguration of where those roof drains are. And then the approved plan does show a little bit of modified grading with the western chamber here. But it is at a slightly lower elevation than the proposed. So it doesn't seem to be a concern because it's still going where it needs to go. And Jeff didn't have concerns there. And then with this permit, no ongoing conditions other than just our regular template, which we say that all stormwater management systems have to be perpetually maintained. And then there was no pool, so we don't need the pool best management practices with this one.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any comments. Anyone? Any other commissioners have any questions or comments here? No, so then with that one, I will make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for stormwater permit 23-05 for 724 Jerusalem Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right, with a motion and a second, then I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, aye.
Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, last one. 68 Whitehead, NOI 2113 and stormwater permit 2110. So there's a couple revisions to this plan. This is the final version of the plan before the most recent one that you guys saw. So there's, this was like a half, mostly completed as built actually. So I just wanted to show you guys the 2023 plan for reference, which was approved in an amended conditions. So this site also fully stabilized, landscaping fully installed. The most recent revision to the plans did include, oops, sorry, here's the approved version. Where is it? I don't know why I'm not seeing this. I don't know why the mitigation isn't here, but yeah, so this is the mitigation plan. We had to put 2-to-1 replication of 2 trees that were removed. So 4 eastern red cedars went in at the bottom of this wall, along with several shrubs and grasses. So this mitigation area, I can show you guys photos, is 100% installed. The trees look healthy. They weren't misplanted in any way. So with that being said, this was the approved plan minus the mitigation. And I will also work with the applicant to record the long-term operation and maintenance plan prior to the issuance of a stormwater COC. This order of conditions, aside from the standard conditions, only had one special condition, that if excavation of the stone wall compromises stability of the existing trees, they're talking about this stone wall in the back here, the trees will need to be removed and replaced with native trees. So even though the stone wall may not have compromised those 2 trees coming out, as we previously discussed in the amended order, the barriers were moved after they were staked out. So that might be why 2 of those trees came out. But like, again, we approved a mitigation plan to replace those 2-to-1, and those have been installed. And I didn't witness during my final inspections, these existing trees that are still here, I didn't witness any other damage from construction that was evident. So I think the special condition should be all set. The approved plan, it's hard to see here, Jeff. I don't know if this, it looked like it had 5 chambers, but this larger thing here, I don't know if that was it says 5 in the plan, but 7 were installed. So 2 additional chambers from the approved plan were installed for additional drainage.
Yeah,
But
so
I
this,
just,
this plan is showing 7, but there was
yeah, I
a
was gonna say, but you
previous
said 5.
iteration
Yeah.
where there were only 5. Can't recall now if we added some impervious, so we've added, I think that's what happened. At
Okay.
some point when we were permitting this, we maybe
Okay.
added the
So
porch.
you
and
did
we made the
increase it
chambers,
to
added
7
2 more
chambers.
Yeah.
Okay, then, okay, ignore that then. So, okay, 7 chambers were installed per plan. And then same note about the inspection ports, the sod was put over them. So they will just, I did speak to the owners of 724 Jerusalem and these owners at 68 Whitehead about that. And showed them where it was on the plans. So they are aware that they will have to uncover that and check it from time to time. The as-built driveway, it was proposed pea stone, but it was switched to permeable paver. So Jeff had clarified the stormwater rates are not affected because the driveway is still permeable. The pea stone walkway that you guys see on the approved plan here was actually not constructed. So they did not take out this ledge outcrop, and they just kept this as a grassy area with native shrubs and landscaping. And then this crushed stone trench was not installed in just outside the 100-foot buffers, but again, the whole driveway itself is pervious. The porch walkways were just a little bit reconfigured, mostly outside of they're all outside the 100-foot buffer, but yeah, no change in impervious there. And then going back to the plantings, like I said, the mitigation plantings, which I can show pictures of, were all installed per plan. The original plan here, this was the plan. There was no separate landscaping plan. So you can see a good portion of these plantings were all outside the 100. In terms of the total count of trees in the 100-foot buffer, it's more than the approved plan. There are actually a lot of trees planted over here. They are all arborvitae and 1 dogwood. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 plus or minus 5 trees in the 100-foot buffer than the approved plan. There were just some species substitutions where there were supposed to be 2 eastern red cedars here. Those were also replaced with arborvitae, but they still planted the 2 dogwoods and the service berries and the other native shrubs and stuff around here. And I don't have a total count, but in walking the site, you can definitely see that there's more grasses, shrubs, perennials. I didn't obviously count them all, but they're all around here. They're around here, around the house, and about around here too, up on these walls. So overall, there's definitely more native plantings overall, just with the species substitutions for trees. But the amount of trees that were supposed to be planted in the 100 are still there. There's actually more. It's just the species substitutions and differences. But with that being said, the ongoing conditions I would recommend are number 40, number 41, and then the pool BMP's condition. This might have been an older order of conditions template, but that pool BMP thing is not in the order. However, it is listed as an ongoing condition to maintain pools and hot tubs per the best management practices of the commission. So it is going to be an ongoing condition in the stormwater COC. It wasn't on the original order template. So I would just say 40 and 41 for the COC for the wetlands permit.
Was the driveway originally
Pea stone.
okay? So how is that a trade-off that it's pervious, but they didn't add the trench? Like, what's the did they do a calculation or?
So they've installed the pavers to be permeable, so they have permeable joints and it's set on crushed stone with a reservoir below. I'm not aware of if they did the stone trench. It's not visible anyways, but any runoff that would run off in that area, there's a mulch bed and it's a low point. So if any water did run off from that driveway, it's going to get caught in that low point in that mulch bed and infiltrate. There's really no way for it to run off site.
Why was the trench proposed then, like, to begin with? Or was it, why was it there?
I mean, I don't recall, but I mean, I've been out there and there's no runoff from that area. The water's going to capture in that mulch bed and infiltrating. I mean, realistically, that whole paver driveway has stone underneath it. So.
Sure. The plantings are good. They said there's more. They did more.
Yeah, so they did plant the amount of minimal trees that they were supposed to in the 100-foot buffer, and then there were these arborvitaes that they planted in this area. So 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 of them are outside the 100, but about 4 of them are inside the 100-foot buffer. So overall, in terms of tree count, not counting the mitigation plantings, they planted 4 additional arborvitae in the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, the proposed plan had fairly light plantings. It only proposed 18 shrubs.
Yeah,
and
it was
this
18
was far
shrubs
more than
and
18.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees total, only 5 trees in the 100-foot buffer.
Any
They-
comments from anyone else? Sorry, Jeff, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say they had Sion Landscaping doing the whole landscaping, and it's heavily planted.
Tom, any concerns about this trench that we're not sure whether or not it's there, but it doesn't seem like it's there?
No, I don't quite understand what it's about, though.
Yeah, that's curious to me, why it was proposed. Anyone else? Steve,
No.
Kathy,
No.
Sanji,
No.
all right, Charlotte, proposed ongoing conditions, anything
Yeah.
special?
Just number 40 and 41, and like I mentioned, the pool BMP's ongoing condition will be a template in the stormwater COC. This was an older template before they added that to the order conditions.
Okay. All right, well then, with that, I will make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for NOI 21-13, stormwater permit 21-10, with the ongoing conditions noted by Charlotte for the pool, and would you say 41?
Yep, 40 and 41.
40 and 41 in our standard conditions for 68 Whitehead Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second, I will take a roll call vote. Tom Bell,
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Agnell,
Steve Magell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0. Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Good
Jeff.
night.
Good, Jeff.
All right. That's it for COCs. We got some agent updates, Charlotte.
Sure, yeah. Also, really good job on time, guys. Love this for us. So construction updates, I just have a couple. The Hingham Lumber project has started. I've been out to the site twice, inspected the limit of work and erosion controls. They can actually potentially save, we'll see how construction goes, but some trees at the bottom of the infiltration basin. The contractor thinks he can save them. I think it just depends on grading. So I told him, well, don't cut them for now and save them. And if we can, that'd be great. It is about 5 or 6 of them. And so I guess we'll see how that goes. 44 Little Harbor Road, we'd already voted on COCs, but I just want to let you guys know that they did put in the rest of the 8 trees that we had wanted to see go in contingent upon the COC. So he did plant them in the lat long coordinate locations in the yard because they were originally taken out in that area. So I did inspect those and gave them their COCs. And with that being said, COCs, as you can see, are getting quite exhausting. I talked to Chris a little bit about this before the meeting, but you guys know I'm just the messenger. I'm just reading through these, and I don't know if there's any better way to require more information for these, because one thing that I'm finding when I'm going to these sites is I'm spending a lot of time in and out of the office and on the site, counting plantings, double checking as-built, having people add more information to as-built, talking to owners. It's a pretty exhausting process. With that being said, the key word is substantial compliance. So projects are obviously not expected to be 100% compliant, but as you guys can see, the planting stuff is definitely getting very exhausting. So if there's any way we want to revise our procedures or even our regs to be a little bit clearer of what we want with a COC request, that would be something that I'm happy to look into with you guys. One suggestion I would say is if there is a separate planting plan, I want a planting as-built. I do get pushback with that. Luckily, with some of the ones that you saw tonight, there was only a separate planting plan for one of them, and they did give me an as-built for that. But I will say that's a topic of resistance a good portion of the time. I'm like, well, I need an as-built, and I need to go out, count the trees and the stuff in the hundreds. So you guys got to give me something, you know? So just something to think about. You guys know when I read these reports, I'm just
Well,
a messenger.
Charlotte, what's the best way to implement that? To put it as a condition?
A
or-
regulatory requirement for maybe our COC process and our regs, you know, say that, you know, we want as-built to be very clear with certain information, and maybe we could specify that, because as-built don't have they don't have a significant portion of the information from the approved plans. So it's definitely up to me to measure, to look at on site. The as-bilt's usually revised by the time you guys are looking at it. So maybe that we could be clear about what information we want to see on as-bilts, and if we want a separate planting as-built for certain types of projects.
I think that makes sense, especially, you know, obviously for wetland projects would be
Yeah.
looking
Yeah,
for
I
the
would-
planting plans, and for stormwater more so for the pervious and impervious surfaces verification, stormwater structure, that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, and like calculations too, because I'm often in my comments, as you guys may see, I'm asking for, can you confirm the increase, decrease in impervious? Like I can try to measure it myself from the as-built PDFs, but it's obviously not accurate. So yeah, just
But
kind of
there's, like, that
getting a
trench,
more
like-
solid COC request and really showing the commission why these people need and deserve a COC. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of work on my end, which I'm happy to do. It would just be nice if I had better documentation, so I'm not going to the site multiple times to verify it.
Like, why would the approved plan, last one, have a trench?
Right.
With no,
That was
with
before
nothing
my
to do
time.
with the calculations, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know why there was a trench there.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, COCs they're tough. I know they're at the end of the night for you guys, and I'm sorry you guys have to listen to me talk, but if there's any way you guys can think to improve this process, either in our regulations or just me presenting it to you guys, just let me know, because yeah, I'm just the messenger. I'm not always happy with these plans when I present them. So there's actually one that was going to be on the agenda tonight, and I said absolutely not. I said I'm not presenting that. So and then for other updates, I can get the reason from Tracy upstairs, but we were supposed to be on the agenda to reappoint Chris and to appoint Will Ashton, who reapplied as a full member, but there was a long list of boards that were on the agenda for 721 or 722. They just didn't make it for Concom. So we'll probably be on the next agenda for Select Board for August. In the meantime, if you guys do have any last minute people who are interested, they're still welcome to submit an application to Tracy, and she said she'd give me a heads up if anyone applies to Concom last minute. So that'll be on the next Select Board agenda to revote for Chris and for Will. The open space and rec plan, I sent you guys a large BCC email, but if you guys would like to take that, the survey's open until August 31st. The open space and rec plan is a document that towns have that's updated every 7 years, but now it's going to be updated every 10 years. It's really to assess the needs of the town for open space and recreation facilities. It opens the door for, like, you know, grants and other changes and things like that, and town meeting if we wanted to allocate more money for certain facilities. So if you guys would like to take it, it takes about 10-15 minutes. You can do it on a tablet, your phone, computer. It is a little lengthy, so I apologize. You don't have to answer every question, but we just want to make sure we're getting solid input from the public of how we can, you know, better improve our open space and rec resources. Mass Ready Act, I think I sent you guys some emails about it. The deadline to submit comments is July 29th. So some of the emails I forwarded you guys today from MSMCP and MACC have some really good summaries. Basically, the intent looks like it's great, but the problem is it has some drawbacks for the Wetlands Protection Act. And those could be potentially contradictory and harmful to local Concoms and even to DEP. So I was going to just kind of draft a letter very similar to what MSMCP and MACC have already created. So if you guys do want to give me anything before the 29th, which is next Tuesday, I can just sign a letter on behalf of the commission if you guys are comfortable with it. But they are encouraging towns, conservation organizations to all submit to this, to the state. It is submitted as an emergency preamble. That's why it has a very short comment period. So yeah, I don't know if you guys had similar concerns, but just reading through it, Mindy and I were kind of like, oof. It has a lot of pros, but it has some cons too for wetlands protection.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm good with I read through those concerns and
Mhm.
for one, I don't know if it's something we need to vote on, but I'm good with sending a letter on behalf of the Conservation Commission with those concerns.
Okay. Would you guys be okay if I like type your names and I can say Charlotte sent on behalf of the Conservation Commission with your names? Would that be okay?
Fine with
If it's not okay with you, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, everyone's probably going to use a similar letter to what people have already created, but there's just minimal time to look at this. I think that was the most major concern because there's only a 30-day comment period and people found out less than 30 days ago. And then last but not least for motions, one of the things that just to kind of reiterate to be consistent is just saying I vote to close the public hearing and issue blah, blah, blah for this number at this address with the following conditions as read or as shown. And yeah, just to be consistent there with the motions, just for the minutes, because Mindy's putting together the minutes from a transcript and she's editing them. So we just want to make sure that those motions are consistently read if anybody's making a motion for those. And if you guys want scripts. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, maybe you're going to touch on that. Like, I was wondering if we could, I know I use it at work, but Zoom has some AI features where it'll transcribe the whole meeting and even allow you to ask questions. Are we allowed to turn that on or not? Or
yeah, so we've actually turned it on for Zoom. So Zoom downloads a transcript and Mindy, feel free to unmute yourself if you're listening, but she basically downloads the transcript and that's how she's been putting together the minutes. We're of course formatting it and, you know, making it look neater than an actual transcript, but this is a new way of doing the minutes. In case you guys have noticed, the minutes look different. So you guys nodding your heads there. So that was actually Mindy's suggestion. So I think it's working out well so far because the transcripts are really helpful with the exception of a few like misspelling people's names and we just have to correct those and things like that.
Yeah, so Sanji, you are on point. That transcript feature is phenomenal. You do have to go through it and make sure things are accurate and things aren't missed and, you know, restructure it for how the town likes things structured. But yeah, it is a really great feature and it's allowed me to shave hours off doing these minutes. So I appreciate being able to do that.
that sounds great. And not to, you know, overreach, but like there's a feature called AI Companion where you can ask questions or, you know, ask it to remind you, but not remind you, but like say something's mentioned, something in a long deliberation, you can ask questions about what was said earlier. I don't know if we're clear to put that on, but turn that on, but yeah.
It is, I have had it on a few of the meetings. I hadn't been using it. I know that Charlotte has to allow it. I'm not well versed in it, but I know that there's some portion that Charlotte has to allow to have it useful in the meeting. It also does things with the transcript. The AI Companion also does some like summarizing bulletin post kind of things. So far the town has not had any issue with it, and I actually have another board that I've been training on how to use it. And there's been no issue there. So we can verify with, you know, our IT that there's no issue using it in the meeting itself versus after the meetings. But I totally hear where you're coming from, and it's maybe you can help us kind of navigate it as well, since I'm not super well versed, but I'm familiar.
Yeah, let me know if I can help. I rely on almost all my Zoom calls for work now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, we'll touch base, Sanji. Also, at some point, I'll follow up with you with AI for the town. They've been working really diligently on transitioning from Maps Online to ArcGIS. So I figured I'd hold off on adding another thing to Ron Menard's plate. But we'll definitely follow up with them at some point saying, hey, like, can we reopen that topic about maybe how to utilize AI for the town and make this a resource for commissioners and even the public. So we'll come back to that. Just want to let you know I haven't forgotten that.
No problem. Thanks.
And I only had one 48-hour update, but does anyone have any questions on the updates? No? Okay. And for 48-hour updates, Chris, can I touch base with you maybe on Monday? I sent everything drafted for 81 Border Street. We're going to start issuing fines because this person has not submitted a notice of intent by the deadline. So I drafted everything. I just want town council to look over it, but I do need you to sign the things. That's the thing that town council said, that as the enforcing person, it has to be you, not me. So I can print out a bunch of them, and can I just have you sign a stack? Can we touch base on Monday? Or are you in Boston on Monday?
I can sign them on Monday in the afternoon,
Okay. All right. Yeah, in the afternoon, that's actually great because I want to make sure everything's okay before I print everything out for you. Yep, we'll print out a stack. But yeah, he didn't submit by the deadline, and I've actually been pretty lenient because I have 15 days from each violation. For every day he has not submitted that. I have 15 days to issue the fines under non-criminal disposition. So got a nice big chunk for him. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of $300 fines.
Okay.
I don't want to do it, but he didn't submit it, so leave us no choice. Cool. That was it.
Good. Anyone else have anything?
Charlotte, can you return to what's going on at 81 Border?
Oh, this is the person who he
Yeah, I
has a
know-
history.
I know who it is.
Yeah, yeah. So he had recently altered the driveway, made himself like a gravel turnaround, removed fill and replaced it with other stuff. So he did that all without a permit. There was a police report. We issued an enforcement order to have him submit a notice of intent by July 10th. He did not do that. So for every day that he does not submit the NOI, we can fine him $300 a day. And I have up to 15 days for each day to issue those fines. So all I got to do is print out a big stack for Chris. We might miss a day, but with the weekend, but I have a nice big stack for Chris, hopefully on Monday, to have him sign those. But they have to be issued in triplicate form to the town clerk, to the clerk magistrate, and to the violator. And I'm just double checking with council if maybe I can also find the current owner. The property is in the process of being transferred to the violator. But if I can also send $300 fines to the owner, I think that'll create enough noise to get them to comply.
So wait a minute, the property's been sold?
It right now has a mortgage payment that's been recorded saying the violator is now paying for the mortgage on the property under the negotiations of a purchase and sale. So the deed has not been re-recorded in the new person's name. But right now the current owner is still Gulf River LLC, I think. So I was asking town council, can I send separate $300 fines every single day to both people? So we'll see if that's, I don't see why not. I mean, they're still responsible, right? So, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty exhausting. You have to issue a letter to the owner with a ticket, and then you have to send a letter to the clerk magistrate with a copy of the ticket, and then you also mail a third copy to town clerk. So yeah, it's a lot. But once I've drafted them, they're easy to just print out, change the date, and just put those in the mail. Yeah, definitely a last resort.
So I'll sign
But he already
Tom's
did the
name
work.
on
That's
this.
why we wanted an after the fact permit, because he already did the work. So it's like, okay, submit an after the fact permit, pay double the fines, double the fees, excuse me. But since he didn't do that, it's time to get fined.
See
Yep.
how this goes. Fun. All
Yep.
right.
That was it for me. I don't know if anybody else has updates.
I don't. Anyone else?
No.
No.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. I'll keep in touch for the site visit for Pond Street.